Starleague studio. It's Wednesday, and that means we have two great Valorant matches for you in the NACE Starleague Varsity Premier League Fall 2024. Today, we have got Brian Stratton going up against Akron in our first match. It's going to be the Bobcats versus the Zips. I'm your host, Jacob Palmer. I'm joined by Greg Smith, calling all the action for you here today. And Greg, these two teams have 2-0 records. Every team competing today is undefeated. But something about you looking over the team's stats and rankings thinks that this might be a little bit more competitive than their season has been so far.
So far, we've had a lot of smash hits for sure, and I think a little bit more competitive is exactly what we're looking for. Just like you said it, these stats and rankings are looking good, and I'm looking forward to tighter games today.
Well, we are going to get to that first game as soon as we can, but let's take a overview of the two matches that we have for you tonight. Both of them are best-of-3 Valorant matches. We'll start out with Brian Stratton versus Akron, and then we'll go to Cumberland versus Siena Heights. 3 of these 4 colleges are private, by the way. Akron's the only public one, so kind of a battle of the private schools here today. Bobcats versus Zips on deck for us. And we can also take a look at the lineup that we have going forward with these two teams. Brian Stratton, we've got Miro, Rams, 2-Bit, Naquam, and Snox.
And Arcus, Farrell, Southie, Bugs, and Vorses is going to be holding down the Akron team. We've got some Radiant players. We've got some Ascendant players on these teams. I'm looking for some big IGLs really carrying the teams here.
Yeah, you had a few standouts who are Radiant, and then a lot of people are hovering around kind of Immortal too. So
it's true.
We have a very kind of evenly matched game, which is the main thing I'm looking for. I personally, just as a caster or someone who likes to see competitive games, I would rather see a match of 2 teams that are gold across the board rather than like a Radiant versus Ascendant match. You know what I mean? I mean, technically, I just like even matches that are very competitive.
I definitely enjoyed our blowout matches that we had in the last 2 weeks, but it'll be fun to have some tight games here today. Like you said, 2 gold matches just show a lot of comparison between the teams, and this gives us a nice deep dive into what's going on as we get this good side-by-side between these 2 great players.
And let's take a look at the stages that are going to be on deck for this first match. We've got 3 stages. They're going to be Bind, Split, and Lotus. The bans were Ascent, Breeze, and Haven from both the teams. So we haven't really seen a whole lot of Split. I believe this is the first time we're seeing it this semester.
This is true, yeah, and it's had a couple of reworks. So diving in, start of the semester, we're going to see how the approaches have changed to Split and what the teams want to do about it.
I'm always nice. It's always fun for me starting out on Bind because it is one of those stages that, well, first of all, my favorite agent is Cypher. So any stage that I can just see him on, I'm all for. But also Bind just kind of having a few more enclosed spaces where agents like Raze can really shine. I always love seeing a good showstopper to wipe the team. So. Yeah. Maybe we'll see that today. I'm happy starting out on Bind.
And Bind is a classic map that everybody's seen before, but it's gone through a couple of changes, and more importantly, it's gone through a few worldwide tournaments. We've seen some absolutely epic matches on the above collegiate level happen on this map, and I'd love to see how it's changed the meta for collegiate gameplay.
Well, let's take an overview of Bind in particular. We can see all of the various landmarks and both of the spots that you have to plan. Of course, Bind known for being the one stage in Valorant where there isn't a mid. We are going to be looking over it as we're ready to start. Brian Stratton versus Akron Esports. Bobcats versus the Zips, best of 3 here in NACE Starleague Valorant. And here's the look that we have over of Bind. Quick look over of the background of Bind, and then we'll get to the actual establishing shot that we have. Here's the defender spawn for Bind. And personally, of the stage, of the points A and B, which one do you kind of prefer to see more?
Ooh, man, I really myself personally like playing on A a lot more, just because I feel like it has that verticality I enjoy, especially for a lot of seeking style util. But B, I think, has had the most dynamic feeling over the years of Valorant. The way that people approach hookah and the way that people approach B-long, which is the real C-long of the map, and the long sight lines, gives it more of a horizontal dynamic, I feel. And I like how you bring up the map has no mid. That really is what makes it special. The mid, in a strange wraparound way, in a strange Columbus way, is the outside. Mm-hmm. So it's fun to see how teams can threaten using those teleporters and threaten coming in from the outside.
Well, and it's interesting because in the tactical shooter genre, which Valorant entered into with a little bit of hero shooter thrown in with the abilities, you know, CSGO, which you should catch on Fridays here on the NACE Starleague Twitch channel. But CSGO really kind of the standard, 2 points, left, mid, and right. And when you look at, you were talking about Bind being a classic stage in Valorant, you look to the real classics, Bind, Ascent, and Haven. Only Ascent is the one that really follows the standard rules. 2 out of the 3 stages, Riot was like, we're changing things up. We're putting 3 points on one and no mid on the other.
It's true. They definitely did a lot of shuffling around. Let's look at today's matchups. As we've got your favorite player here, the Moroccan Info Baroker,
nice,
coming out on one team, and the other one to mirror him will be our fast-moving Frenchman.
And if we look at the side of who is attacking and who is defending, we see Brian Stratton is going to be defending first. Akron in the red is going to be attacking. Which means I'm really going to be looking for how much Akron can really run up the score, because, I mean, if you have a Cypher, he's probably going to be a bit better on defense. It can be a little bit harder to use his abilities in an offensive capability. So if Akron starts out swinging, I think that spells good news for them for the second half.
Getting right on into it, people moving into B, a little bit of a lurker here in the center. As people are still respecting not rotating too early on A, it's a little bit of a feel out in the first couple rounds like it usually is. People just want to see how things are going to be played. They're not afraid to dump some utility in. A couple pixels caught by Bugs. He's going to draw his camera back in and make some shots. Just kind of suppress the situation. And they're holding tight against the site, but not moving in. And here it is. Oh, attackers with a great move by Feral to create a little bit of pressure on the space before closing in with the classic.
They're going to teleport over to Ward B, and I like that, because teleport over to Ward A, excuse me, because that pick that their Viper is able to get completely cleared out the point. It was very lopsided. Brian Stratton positioned 4 on B and only 1 on A, so that leaves this point pretty darn open. But look out of the rotation through A short. Feral is taken out by Miro. Probably going to have an engagement. It's not looking over there, and Selfie makes him pay for it.
Oh, Rams is closing up the gap here by taking out Bugs in a replay. They've got a couple of angles they've got to watch here. Trying to multitask the angles is not quite possible. And Forces with a shot over the tank is going to find Rams. One of the strongest players for the Bobcats.
And with the first round done and dusted, trying to take a look at the individual purchases that Akron is going to bring forward for their gun advantage round. What they want a bonus with, it seems like, I was seeing 1 AR be hovered for just a second, but looks like they're going to be a bit more frugal, not get too carried away in their gun advantage, just bring out some Steiners and Spectres.
Playing nice and steady in the beginning is always a good call. Looks like as the gates go up, we've got some utility holding down Market here. Presence that may show we could be pushing all onto B, which is a big gamble considering that you might not know it, but the Bobcats are all going B as well, and it's a serious shootout in Hookah. 2 down already as Feral takes one and loses one themselves. Miro going to come out on top there, and they keep on pressing. Now that you've found everybody, you want to take your advantages and just get out of there. Another big rotate to A and running straight through Bath with...
They did the same thing, and Brian Stratton just once again chose to place everyone on B. This is a free point taken, and Akron can set up the angles they want to engage with.
Yeah, they've basically switched sides here as Brian Stratton is going to be attacking from the front side. Akron, suspecting a rotate through the back doors, though, are going to be looking the wrong way, giving them a chance to rotate in a little bit quicker, but that wall, that
camera taken out.
Viper wall is going to make it a little bit more difficult. Drop more utility in the...
Oh,
are going to
peek
come out in
around.
very close.
I thought a collateral might be in the cards. It's a trade 1 for 1. 3 left for Brian Stratton. They hear the defuse sound effect. A shot through the smoke, and Akron picks up their second round. Pick up the guns that their teammates lost in the engagement.
Now, the Bobcats have still been making decent ground onto the Zips. We've seen them take 2 or 3 pretty consistently and a lot of good trades. I like seeing people play off the contact and play together. Having that synergy is important to get the team rolling and have momentum in every round. They're moving them more up into serious gun rounds. Bugs feeling strong with the light shield. Okay. Considering not just going with the Sheriff, maybe they will. Otherwise, the Bobcats looking at a full gun round here.
Noticing the timer is also ticking down, so we might just have a quick tech pause if there is a connection issue that we need to work out. Looks like from the positioning, Rams might have had a DC. One thing also to notice with Bugs, though, to point out is because Cypher only has, the 6 charges to get his neural theft, you can get that charged up pretty easy. What's more troublesome is finding a place to use it. Now, I do think Akron has been very good at getting picks early on. So I definitely think they can give Cypher the opportunity to use the neural theft. What's going to be a little bit tricky is just making sure that he's in range, because the one thing that Brian Stratton that they've been doing is they're all grouped together. They're either all on one point or all the other. So if you find a pick, it's not like you can just walk up to that body, because most likely with the way Brian Stratton's been playing, the whole team is going to be holding angles looking over that corpse.
It's true, but we've had a lot of long rotations as well, and if they can bait out a little bit of movement, we saw a big issue in the last round where they didn't know if they're rotating from the front or from the back, so it'd still be very good information if they could get it out. So it might not be immediately usable, but we could see it getting a lot of value in certain situations.
And one opportunity for Akron to really pull ahead. Again, I was saying if they have a very strong opening on attack, then going into defense with the Cypher to close out the match, I think is a pretty good sign for them. The one way that they can really convince me that they're off to the races is if they win their bonus.
It's true, yeah. That would be something that we'd really like to see and start to have things turn over a little bit. We always know kind of how the first 3 rounds map out. We'd love to see it get a little bit tighter as the rounds progress on. They should be closing up that pause as we speak. We'd love to see them, make the changes that they need to dive into that and get things rolling.
The one thing I'm wondering is, I'm kind of wondering about, okay, Brian Stratton has fanned out between points A and B, so Akron, that teleport they've been so happy to use, it's going to be just a bit harder. There's 2 on A, 1 on B. Most of Akron is looking like they want to push on to B. Miro immediately takes out Horses.
We've seen them push very far in before needing to move back out and find something new.
Last player standing.
And the AR difference is just going to come in clutch for Brian Stratton. Best thing that Akron can hope for. Best thing that he can hope for is just one pick here or there, just try to put some sort of dent into Brian Stratton's eco. He does, to my eye, have the AR, so he can compete on distance.
Man, he was just absolutely caught in that corner, and they knew it. They gave him a plethora of angles to walk through. He had not a lot of good options there.
Well, it is the standard opening that we are used to seeing, 2 and 1. So Akron is going to now have the opportunity to not be outclassed by guns in terms of Brian Stratton.
It's true as we dive into their full gun rounds here. Let's see what options they go for. It's always pretty typical to just see them race for the Vandals and the Phantoms, but a good understanding of exactly where you're going to be later on in the stage.
But the fact that Akron wasn't able to get any picks against Brian Stratton is really coming back to bite them. They don't have credits to full purchase this round. They all tried to, but the Rays would have had to settle for a Bucky. And so they're just going to go for a pure eco round.
As they're moving in. Feeling things out in Bath. It looks like Bryant and Stratton are comfortable taking the space that they're given, as Akron hasn't been pushing very hard onto A. The Bobcats are feeling Bath out and respecting this wall here, but leaving 2 people on B. Make sure we don't have any mirrors of what happened earlier. Nikwam holding behind the box.
The wall goes up. That's going to block their view from Hookah. The rest of the team is rotating over, so the push toward B is going to go through after this wall goes down. Hawk's going to be thrown out. They're going to try to define all the vision. Blinds their own teammate, however, but it does wear off.
It is a clean sight. It looks like the Bobcats backed all the way off to wait for reinforcements or just playing the retake. That retake is going to give Akron a chance to really settle in, but it's not going to be so. They try to play on to Snox before reinforcements are there. Snox takes 2 before going down.
Still, this is a great outcome for Akron, despite having a little trouble in the rotation around elbow.
Oh.
Orbital Strike's going to come out, however, and clear out the point. But hey, you got the spike down. You took out 3 of their teammates. It's pretty good for an eco round, if you ask me.
It was looking really good and incredible that Akron went all down to a single ultimate this early in the game. Just shows you how important piling up those kills and making sure to collect those orbs is.
I just think it could have been better with that rotation around elbow. They weren't all coordinated, having one person swing wide back a little bit ways. Instead, it started out as kind of a solo dry peek, and that just led to one of their people being taken out. The person who was hiding an elbow traded 2 for 1. And now we see an op be brought out by 2-Bit.
Only barely. 0 credits left on the line, and it'll be important to secure this one's value over the course of the round. So see how they decide to play it. We've got a nice 2-3 spread coming from the side of Akron. Just really feeling things out. Haven't decided where they want to be quite yet. A couple intimidation shots going everywhere, and lots of blinds and smokes coming up on the A site. There it is.
A shot rains out across the heavens saying, A is off limits to you. Akron might have to rethink what route they want to take.
And that's a dangerous hands for the op. 2-Bit is a quality player with a high rank and a lot of practice. So much so, he's comfortable playing it in an angle like this, unsuspecting, I'm sure, his Vorsis to an actual op standing in the tightest corner on this site.
He has to be careful. If he moves forward, that barrel's going to be visible and give Vorsis a chance. Vorsis turned around, though. A shot rings out, catches him with the headhunter, and that's a huge pick. Vorsis is going to parlay that into a double, rotate around, and move toward B. Doesn't even bother picking up the op. They're just going to leave that. So if they want to keep Brian Stratton from having that op and really put a dent in their eco, they're going to have to take out everybody from here on out.
Interesting how comfortable they are to take a hit and then run. And I love that play style of just damaging something, calling for the aid, and then disappearing entirely. Makes the hunt all that more difficult. Vorsis hidden behind the box as Snox is trying to look around this tripwire in towards Bugs. Just taking care of a little bit of the utility. So he knows that might draw out Bugs. He's going to send in a big flash and look to pop off of that, but just doesn't feel it. Maybe it didn't last long. They're just kind of held at the gate here. Oh, Snox caught.
Oh, that's rough.
Absolutely.
Vorsis on a triple. The rest are just going to hide to save. Might try to get a 1-pick around with this rotation through Fountain. Spike goes off. Do they know Nick Wam's there? They don't. They're going to pay with one of their players. Still, a victory is a victory for Akron. They will tie this. They will go into the lead, 3-2.
And this was a wild fight.
But this is just the cause and effect here, because you see he gets the pick and move, but that meant the teammate, the one who was still there holding on, held on to that op. So 2-Bit is not going to have too much of a dent put onto his credits. Little peek there through. Understand 2-Bit now getting ready with the sight through back.
More vision dial down B long. Just making things a little bit difficult. They're throwing up a Trailblazer. Exposing a presence, as well as that's a second, I think, gun type that they've heard so far. So they know that there's 2 people at least down long, just anchoring in that site.
2-Bit is swapping up his positions on this op.
Oh.
Moved all the way up to Bats, but Bugs is going to be the first one to get a pick. I worry, though, as they go through that teleporter, that's where the op side is being held. They do smoke it off, so 2-Bit has to teleport away. He's going to try to post up to a different position. Though it still seems like that teleport was a bait more than anything. The plant goes down on B.
Plant does go down on B, and people did rotate to A. It's a shame that he couldn't quite time it through the smokes. I mean, that's the best you can do, is just give it your best shot and TP out of there. Still, 3 of them holding A, and it looks like it's a save of sorts, so we've got a Hunter just coming around the front of the site.
Man, they're taking their sweet time with this. Bugs, as soon as they rotate Bugs, if he just stands still, is going to have a great, but if he pokes out, he's got a 3-on-1. He's playing risky, but he does pick up the 1-1, but he did see all of the teammates. They're just going to make some space for themselves, try to peek out shots on this op, throwing in the paint shells, and they take him out. Akron is going to have access to picking up that op, and a well-earned victory.
I'm sure Akron are happy to just take the round and sit on top of the spike. But when they found out the other team was just saving on the one just camping in the back, trying to hold down that op with all 3 players, they got hungry for it and were willing to throw away a few of their own men just to create that damage in the economy. And that just shows them they're done playing for this round, but that doesn't mean they're done playing. They're ready to now start fighting for next round. And they get in there and they hunt down the op. And look at this economy now. Akron is able to hold on to an op themselves and full guns and plenty of creds left. And the Bobcats are hurting in credits now.
Now, the op is great and all, but they don't have any of the
Ooh.
agents that can really teleport away once the op is used.
Arceus sees a scary sight with that dog. 3 people rushing down B long. How are they going to respond to this pressure? Looks like a serious rotation to A short. Do the Bobcats suspect that? We'll have to see if they hold tight there or if they start moving around to the other side as well. Nequan to take one from a distance. It's a little Viper on Viper action. 2-bit hoping the team hold things down as the cabbage comes around. Not exactly a threat. Ooh, 2-bit watches the Skydog go down. Knows exactly what angle they're dealing with and is just going to hold out for a little bit.
Nero gets the pick onto Arceus. Finds Stratton. Oh man, their Cypher's in such a weird position. He either had 2 in front of him or 2 behind him, and the only one left is Farrell. That's going to be a team ace, Brian Stratton. I have no doubt, unless Akron tossed it off the edge, that should be their op given back. And that's what I was a little bit afraid of. I was about to say, you know, the op is great, but it's a little hard to use it on attack, especially if you got an agent that really isn't a traditional opper. They gave it over to their Brimstone.
A solid round, just showing the back and forth that we expected from this game, bringing us up to a 3-4. And it's another single lurker on A dealing with a serious force from the Bobcats. They love playing an attack-style defense. I'm interested to see how things play out when we get the rotation 2-bit.
Orbital fire expended, not picking up anything. We did hear the tour de force be brought out at the beginning of this round, so it seems that Chamber didn't even need that op given back to him. But this is a pretty wide open point B. They are all focused on A short except for the Chamber, who's holding down his own spawn. Peek out through hallway. That is a range battle that Akron is not going to win unless they can just tap with that Vandal once the smoke clears.
Yeah, time-wise, this is going to be incredibly tight. It might be looking like Bobcats are either going to do this very quickly.
Beautiful pick onto the Chamber. Tour de force, not even a factor. And that just, they go 2 down and they already concede the match. They want to hold on to their guns. They aren't a team that isn't going to throw away all the credits that they have worked hard to build up. They know when to cut their losses and save for the next.
It looked for a little bit. Nice. That's tough, the dumpster fire. It looked for a moment like they were considering just waiting for the spike to go off and then taking everybody on an outro just to make some extra damage. But it looks like the idea in the end was to go for a strong pinch. But after losing that, the left pincer player, forcing in with 3 people is just not the move. I mean, it's a 3v5. You're essentially playing from attack and on a low clock when the other team expects it. After they lost that player, you're right, just keeping the creds was the move and to play for next round.
Hawk goes out, gets a blind onto Southie. Right here. That corridor is already smoked off, so it seems like there's going to be anyone pushing through it for the next few seconds. Dog's going to be sent out through it to see how many are hanging out on B. The answer is 3. He's going to throw out a grenade. Again, everyone just trying to feel each other kind of out as long as this Viper wall is up, obscuring vision. But as soon as it drops, I believe we're going to see a heck of a rush. Or they could, they're so close to the teleporter as well, and they would have to deal with 1 less defender should they teleport through A. Chamber is holding down the sideline on B, through Baths, however, excuse me.
It's true, but this is such a straight shot rotation. They send 1 through, not a lot changes, a couple jiggle peeks. Vorses looking to play against 2-bit after the acid drops. They flash right out of there. The pressure is respected. He's looking for a little bit of a repeat, and they're rotating back, hoping. And Rams Takes a big move and looks to find more. Feral. Oh, he's not going to get any value out of that ultimate. Arsuizo is going to find Snox and secure the area. Arsuizo getting that spike down. Now they've just got to hold on to it. As the rotations from A side they were earlier peeking on are going to be making their way back around. Someone in the elbow holding, just waiting for a little bit more reinforcements. It's 2-bit. On the side, just playing a little bit of pepper damage all over.
Brian Stratton tries to bring it back with the showstopper. That gets ended in tragic fashion. Peek around, stopped. There was a good angle being held down. Naquan, though, picking up a double. He might still have an opportunity to take this as long as he can get one-on-ones, and he doesn't have to deal with someone in his back. The spike is sticking down, though. I don't think he has time, and Vorsis takes him out from Hookah. That's going to be a done deal for this round, putting Akron up to an even larger lead. They're up 6-3.
It is a strong lead, but we've seen things flip like this. Looks like Miro is going to be looking for a little bit of time out just to talk about that indeed. What do you think they could be talking about here? What strategies do you think we could get a little adjustment to?
Well, I noticed that once the Chamber, in the first few rounds that he's had his op, he was really good at getting that first pick for the team, which is if you're on a Chamber or Jet, you want to make sure that every round is starting in an unfair position for the other team. You're instantly making it a 5-4. But then the last couple of rounds, when he had the tour de force, he wasn't able to get a pick. He wasn't able to hold down Baths as well. So there might just be, just talking a little bit about kind of the fundamentals, crosshair placement, maybe peeking just a little bit more better to try to bait out those shots. I'm just noticing that when their defenders are trying to hold down angles all too often, Akron is still able to play around them.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, like you're saying, a lot of this collegiate style play we see that Chamber be not really a lurking duelist, but more, even though he's a sentinel, you're expecting him to find first bloods, is what you're saying. So he doesn't play like this lurking sentinel position, but a little bit more of an upfront and in-your-face duelist. And the idea that makes him a sentinel is just that safety net, that Jet-style get-out-of-jail-free card. And it could be just reallocating that and changing up a little bit of the role that these players have to play to respect the way that the pros and cons of the enemy team.
Brian Stratton is all positioned in A short. The only one here is Viper and trades 1-to-1, but that is a huge amount of information given over to Akron. And it's saying, everyone, go toward B. Everyone's trying to catch you off guard with A short. The only one there is that Viper around the elbow pick, and Akron is not going to have any issues with that rotation this time. They take out the Viper and are now up 4-3. With a long time before Brian Stratton even gets to the point.
Yeah, Akron recognizes fast what that stack in A short means. And instead of just assuming it was all 5, they still used their utility and they still did a clean sweep and they had no issue finding what they needed to. Now Bugs holding down the anchor, switching flipping the switch to defense. Does great. Miro looking to make their way in and they just can't find it. And look at just like that. 7th point for Akron. It looks like the Bobcats weren't going to go over anything super technical and just wanted to rush right down A short and get in their face and look for a just startling upset to the momentum, and it wasn't quite there. It's always a risky play that sometimes really pays off, but just having that lurker, having that sentinel just hold behind you, that controller, just checking things out was all that Akron needed. They gave him so much information and made it a clean 7th round. Yeah, Bugs with a 3K. That Guardian couldn't quite place.
Hit a fire early on, but you see the same positioning. They kind of have all 4 pushing up B, whereas Viper is holding down A. And I like this strategy because of Brian Stratton's tendency to clump together. All you need is that Viper to have that Viper just as intel to know, okay, what stage are they holding on? We position ourselves near this teleporter in case we need to make a quick rotation. It's just putting the Viper on a fact-finding mission, if you will. Try to find out where Brian Stratton has clumped together this round. The thing is, they haven't clumped together this particular round. They're pretty evenly spread out between B and A. A pick from Akron is going to even things up for a piece. Viper does have this Viper's pit to use, so that could be used to gain a bit of ground on A short, but has to go up against the other Viper. Everyone's just kind of going to wait for this smoke and utility to drain out. Miro He's going to have to play this peak just right in terms of a jiggle. Brim throws his stim down, and we are moving in with the Hawks. A charge in, out from elbow, peaks the sky, and they're immediately going to use the Seekers to find the remaining 3 members. A beautiful double peek from Akron is going to take down Miro. And now we have a 3-2. The rest of Brian Stratton having to rotate over. But with the smoke on this hallway, that makes it a very risky, uncomfortable position for Brian Stratton to move forward. He's got the op as well. I mean, unless he's pixel perfect as soon as he peeks out, that could be a huge gun given over to Akron. And Akron wins that one. We're up to 8-3.
Nequam is able to take
Last
one
round
down
in the half.
right out the door there. The Bobcats love just pushing at the gates right at the start of the round, and it is a very in-your-face playstyle. They want to be on the attacking side. You can see it. But after a little bit of a pushback, and once they learn where the where the force might be coming from on the other team, they're able to play a little bit more back foot. They stay jiggle peeking and they stay in their angles and they spread back out. They had 1 man at every main gate, and they held it nice and slow. And it turned out a lot better. They were able to prolong the game a lot further. And here does we see that again, the Dogs immediately finding 2 down B long, and they're going to respond to that with some long shots. Oh. Wow, look at that, Sophie already losing a little bit of health. It's going to be fixed right back up with Arsuez, but it's still a little threatening. They're going to be moving right out through the utility and onto A, and the hunt is on.
Welcome to my world.
Hyperspin going to be thrown down on the point, make it all the more difficult for Brian Stratton to take this back. This is the final round of the first half.
Yeah, Brian Stratton considering a big rotation. There it is, pinching around from the other teleporter. Now that path has to be considered, they say no problem, I'll just flamethrower that area. This is the second time we've had a heal on this round that is proving very useful. Snox is going to be initiating the force into the Viper's pit, taking 1 down. Nequam ready to move in, walking around the shiny, looking for someone. Can you find him? Absolutely tag team. Nequam's going to assist in the forces, falling down. Solfi takes one, and a jump for the last. Instant spray to the floor, picks up a better gun, and is just going to camp the spike here.
He had no option. He was holding the op, so he had to bring out the shorty for the short range and clutches it beautifully. Akron is going to go up to 9-3. I also got to say, I think one player that's really come in clutch for the Zips has been Vorses, who's kind of been that one flanker moving out from the other team. And I mean, it can be just stressful if you're the one, outflanking, having the possibility of getting double peak for the team. But no matter how outmatched he is when he's off on a different route, he always manages to trade 1-for-1 and has always gotten the vital information to the Zips as a team on where the Bobcats are positioned, thus allowing Akron to plant on mostly open points. Now we're going to see a role reversal. They did so well on attack. Akron now onto that defense stage. I would think that the Cypher is going to have a little bit of a better time here. And as soon as I say that, he gets the first pick. It is traded 1-for-1, however. Oh, that paint shells into Hookah is going to take a huge chunk out of Ram's health. It's going to be answered with another paint shells, 2-bit and Nequam, evening things up in favor of the Bobcats. It's 3-2. They're going to move on toward B. Mostly clear.
And the 4 remaining players get a good run right in. But as that support comes rotating around from the other side, as soon as they are daring enough to peek in through the smokes, people holding strong B long are not going to be able to benefit this shootout at all. Arso is timing the approach correctly with Solfi as they're looking in. A little bit more information comes out with a good flash, but it's not enough, and the 180s keep Nequam seeing as ever now down to a couple bullets. Solfi scraping for something. 2-bit is going to find the final shot there with the Ghost, bringing it to a 4v9.
Nice coordination in terms of the Bobcats. They were able to make sure that they double peek that, put Softy in an awkward position. Most of their purchases, if what I'm seeing in that little window down to the left is correct, they might be feeling very confident with their chances in this second round because I am seeing at least, I believe I saw at least one Phantom. Yeah, two Vandals. They swap over to Bulldogs at the very last moment. They're playing with my emotions here. I thought they were just, I thought I saw 3 rifles, and I was like, oh my goodness, they are confident in this. But no, more cautious with the Bulldog.
I'll have to start doing that as a player, just bait out the casters on when I'm in the queue until the last second of the buy phase. Moving on in, the rotations are already out. It is a strong force from Brian Stratton, looking to make good use of the credit lead that they have. A couple mollies coming out, but it's not going to catch very much. It's only information they're going to use. Brian Stratton just leveraging everything they can find. But as those smokes dropped, Arsu is low on options, is going to take the vulnerability hit. Moves back into elbow, forces, draws, and shoots, and finds one. Almost unfair. 2-Bit is going to silence that ego.
That is
bring
a
it down
lot
to a
of
1v2.
That is quite an accomplishment with those classics to get that many picks against Brian Stratton. Has forced himself to 2 angles, has to choose one, takes the one-on-one that he can get. Can he get this chamber? He'll try to bait him out with the audio cue, and gets him! He can't defuse the spike, but considering that they had all classics, that is a huge dent put into the Bobcats credit pool.
Oh, that Guardian, just pixel perfect, knew exactly where it was going to walk to, and a beautiful bait out. I can't wait to see that one again. And taking it through the wall, too. Checking both of your options, saying, he'll be quiet until I grab this spike, and finds one through the wall. And just look at this. Could not be more perfect. Right there. Arsu is with the Guardian, takes 2-Bit out. Moving him up to a 5-9. Making good progress, but a lot of times we expect this bonus to be an issue, especially after the damaging round in creds.
Well, it isn't even that much of a bonus. Brian Stratton has nothing to carry into this round, so the gun advantage is quite in favor of the Zips. They get their first pick, no problem. 2-Bit eliminated. Question is, where does Brian Stratton want to push forward now?
Whoa!
They got that one Viper off to the side. I think they still want to push on toward B. They do get the one pick onto the sky, so I do think that B is still preferred.
Yeah, and they're resettling the defenses here as Akron is sending back 2 over to B. And Bugs, trying to get a little bit sneaky, finds one. Oh, very, very close. 1 HP left. A bit of healing is going to come out, but Rams, that must have been scary.
Hey, I'm just happy that they were able to burn off that cooldown. Around the corner, some close combat. Akron isn't going to win that. The grenade is thrown into Lamps, forcing Rams forward even more. He does have the Judge, but there isn't anyone from the Zips close enough to get in range of that. All 3 of them are now positioned into Lamps. The Hawk is going to be thrown out. They're just going to try to protect. They managed to, they don't even manage to half stick it, but that's a huge boombot to make it a one-on-one duel. Who's going to win this on the peak around? Which reigns supreme? Made myself a tongue twister there. It's going to be Bugs who gets it. Sprays, defuses, Akron up to double digits.
And man, very close on the clock, though. A shame that they all backed off from Lantern when they realized the Judge was peeking in there. Everybody else came in for a bit of support, and the map was split again. This has been a solid round. Bringing us up to 5-10, though, as the weight kind of shifts back onto Akron. Amidst all these smokes, one right to the face gets a good bonus. Just an action-packed round. And then Rams trying to just hold out the clock in an uncomfortable position.
A whole lot of team members having to settle for half shields. So a lot more vulnerability. All of a sudden, a lot of those Phantoms become much more lucrative if you can get a headshot with it.
These wonderful offlines. Just to prove that the game has been around a while when you start doing things like this. That near perpendicular wire placement is always a fun one. Bugs playing with Arsu's.
My camera is destroyed.
Just backing up and respecting the space here as we keep feeling the Bobcats. Just kind of poke around always.
They found my wire.
The 3-2 stack. They're reconsidering Hookah after showing a little bit of presence on B long. All the same, a wall is down in A site, so you can't quite leave lamps there yet. As utility smokes start to fall, we see a little pre-fire coming from the defending side. Akron just looking for something.
We go past 35 seconds. Smokes drops. Now's the time to charge or rotate over. They're going to take the rotation through market all the way over towards A. How well can Vorsas get a pick here? He gets caught, though, in his animation. That leaves A wide open for the Bobcats. Unless Bugs can even things up quickly. He takes a peek through lamps. The plant going through. He gets taken out.
Absolutely crossfire. They had so many angles held down. Now the serious guns are here. Solfi is back. He's going to catch people on their animation. What a show. Every red player just fluttering up the screen. He's going to take a few shots, but it's not quite enough of spray on the judge to take care of everybody once. And it's another quick round. Bringing the score 6-10. Still a little bit more back and forth, right? I mean, we've seen both of these teams be taking a lot more ground on the attacking side. We could see this close up pretty quickly. Especially now considering defense is on a serious eco, and they're going to be pushing it as far as they can comfortably while still having a round of ground and creds for next round.
It's another save round for the Zips.
What are they doing?
Well,
they're rolling right in.
They're outclassed in guns, so they're going to try to take them by surprise, but no one checks the angle! And 3 are taken out by this Brim. You have to check an angle like that.
And Brim, alone with the spike, gets greedy, and instead of just taking the first one and setting up a wall, lets them all walk past. Unreal that not only the first player didn't check the angle, but all of them didn't.
Again, we don't have Artemis Rain here, who was here yesterday for Overwatch, but when Artie is casting Valorant, they always go, check your angles. And that's the reason. They all walked by. No one of those 3 looked left. Brutal.
Interesting that they thought rushing down B long with a Marshall was going to become very useful later on.
Again, I don't hate the idea. They were a lot of teams. If you're in an eco round and you're with Classic, sometimes rushing up into the attacking team, taking them by surprise, narrowing that range can work wonders. It's just that one piece of execution. They didn't check all their angles and they paid so dearly for it.
Yeah, especially when losing twice awards more credits than your first loss. If you've already lost and you're low on credits, you have not a lot of value in the guns you're holding. In fact, even if you kept them, you'd probably trash them for better ones next round. Doing crazy moves like that is never a bad call, but to see it all lose on an absolute just boaster-style surprise hit, watching them go one by one away when he's a solo man holding the spike in a weird box hold. Not something that we get to see very often.
Oh, that's...
Takes 2. If it weren't for the reload, would have had one more. Switches to the Classic, looking for that alt fire, and it's a drop. We see the Tour de Force coming out for 2-bit.
You want to play? Let's
That is
play.
a memorized lineup if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
Smoke goes down in a short. Selfie positioning up pretty close. He's going to get moved back by the dog as he throws out a molly. For the next 15 seconds, we're probably not going to see too much movement. Oh, they want to play right now. Instead, they show something.
Caught out in the mid-air barrel. Hunts down ramps, finds 2 more. A 4th.
One enemy remaining.
So close to an ace. They got Hungry Feral running through Bass towards the fire. Are they going to let him keep it? 2-bit.
Oh, he has a
the last
chance here. He's
target.
going to throw out the blast pack around the corner.
Nice.
Finds his ace. Nice job, Farrell.
Oh, and the most satisfying sound of the game,
That-
the ace noise.
That is redemption for the last round right there. And I fully approve and applaud the Zips for recovering so beautifully.
What a move there. Just got hungry, and now, after all those kills, is holding on to an ultimate of their own. We might see a more successful showstopper next round under threat of Feral. As they lead Akron into point 11. Threatening a match point situation now. Bobcats are going to have less. cheeky options. They got to play you more standard in Valorant.
The one solace that they have is they did win a good amount of rounds in a row before their defeat, so they don't have to go in the awkward position of the other teams at 11. We've got to eco for one round. They can full purchase.
It's true, and they would love to see that just bonused one after another. This round has a lot weighing on it then. In order to not lose that full buy potential of the next round, I've got to be careful. Uniquam takes a beautiful one. Is going to leave immediately. Grabs that orb on the way out for extra value. And look at all the orbs we've collected. 3 on the Bobcat side are already prepared. One of them was shot last round, so that one's going to be a ways away.
Orbital strike, and Vorses barely gets away.
Healing in the pocket, though, calling the other direction was not too bad. They didn't get caught with everybody here on site now. Little info coming out from the dog there, but the Molly smoke combo that Brim loves to just drop on these tight angles is holding people at bay. When it goes down, Miro is going to be the first one to find a little bit of blood. Vorses looking for something. He's got to get out of there. Finds one through the smoke. Maybe a lucky shot. Acid over top to just add to the confusion. That spike just ticks away. At nothing else, this could be a wash on credits, but it would be so much more damaging to the Bobcats. Econ, Bugs finds one.
Oh, that Cypher. I thought he had the opportunity to clutch. As soon as he used that neural theft, he was able to see that he could possibly take one-on-ones for the rusted 3.
Rams is going to stay standing and lead the team into point 8. And now they've got the credits to support another serious push. This is Akron's last attempt with a full gun round. If they don't make this one, there's a pretty good chance we're going to be looking at double digits on both sides. Bobcats moving steadily up into the A side. You see an early rotation out, and the game is already determined. For the full commit, we already hear it coming out. It's not going to find it, though. They shoot Feral out of the sky again. No one is going to land.
Oh, look at this rotation. I don't know if they expect Bugs to be there. He was able to trade 1-1, which in that situation is about as good as you can ask for. Akron Zips have now found themselves in a one-person advantage. They were running on fumes this round in terms of their purchase. It's evened up, though, to 2 apiece. Miro has the spike. Slowly moving around, though. He's not going to plant it. Instead, he jumps in the teleporter, moving all the way over toward B. But his teammate is still caught out on A. And now the Zips can just pinch him in. He's going to move on to point. Orbital strike thrown out to buy themselves some time to rotate.
This paranormal style hunt just taking 1 at a time as Akron finds Rams alone on the site and capture him in an awkward situation. Consider there may have been a serious rotation after the orbital struck this site, but it's not the case. He is still holding strong and he's looking to plant. Plants far back as he can, and they're holding A short. He has a chance to really anchor in and find the vantage point that he wants. At an attempt on 2 players to hold the spike. They rotate quickly, though, and time is not on his side. Makes some serious eye contact with the player. Doesn't go for the bangable wall, instead holds for another peek. Sees the legs of the second one, and he's holding his angle strong instead of running. He knows that he can't really re-peek from a better angle. Finds one, now down to a 1v1. Tries to backtrack right out of there, gets shot in the legs, is down to 5 health. Arsues, looking for the half, is going to find it. Going for a full stick. He doesn't think it's real.
He just sticks it! Oh, no! I thought for sure the Bobcats would take that.
So stressful, and sure enough, players, winners stick. Winners stick. And look at that now, match point threat, a lot of credits come rolling in to the defending side. It's another full gun round as the Bobcats still did a lot of damage on economy, and we're still holding on to a lot of money from last round. But running on fumes is a good way to say it. Bobcats still have a chance here, right? It wasn't a devastating loss last round. They could still take it and keep rolling that snowball up. But it is tight right now. Decided to shift to A site.
Toxin screen down.
A little bit of utility out, just slowly creeping their way in. They find the ult orb, and Spike is switching sides. They may be trying to farm for an orbital strike here, but it might just be they were feeling things out and don't like it. We've already seen a lot of utility coming from various players on Akron's defense in the A site that might just want to rotate around. Akron holding steady, even though they felt a little bit of presence. Don't want to get in anybody's face when they could just end the game at a successful round here. The call is made and they're rotating right around as Arsuaz is seeing everything, trying to keep themselves alive and wait for some backup, holding the Omni Phantom. This angle becomes smoked off. Now we've seen people go down well to it before, so he's got to be careful. Sure enough,
There's another.
as they come flying in.
Spike is going to be planted right on toward B, but still no one has been taken out, but Bugs is going to change that. Right now taking out Naquam. Orbital strike thrown out by Brian Stratton, but a great peek into through elbow. Well coordinated by the Zips. I was just about to say, to close out this round, I think some of the biggest problems that we've seen from both these teams has been those opportunities where we haven't seen coordinated pushes, or coordinated peeks around corners, I should say, and too many one-on-ones have been taken. And at the very last round, Akron coordinated beautifully and gets the win. That is very nicely played by the Zips.
Yeah, that elbow was a dangerous position. I mean, we saw them double down on that smoke with a molly and then hold it, and I was worried we were going to see repeats of earlier events. But like you said, having that 2-on-2 really saved it, and they were able to hold the position. It was a tight game. It had me on the edge of my seat for sure.
Yeah, there were just a few. I think there were probably, and I think the mistakes were split evenly between the two teams. I can't necessarily point to one team and say, oh, you know, there's a clear gap in deficit, because there were times where they both made the same mistakes. And I'll point out what I thought were kind of the biggest pivotal moments of this match, I think, for both teams. One, again, was just the not peeking. Although that was a save round, you could argue, okay, we were just trying something different. You know, we're most likely not going to win the save round. I get it. So let's push that aside. I don't think it holds a candle to the penultimate round, where they just misjudged the defuse time, and Akron is able to stick it right on point. Even if the silhouette too, I don't know if he had his back turned to the Bobcats as well. It would have just been so easy to just swing around and take that pick. He had it.
Yeah, and I wonder if he just didn't hear it, because calling the bluff on that is a dangerous game when you've already made so many peaks. I think after he had backed up, he thought he was in a huge peeker's disadvantage and was just waiting for that ping or waiting for a peek, and didn't realize the sound had called when there were still two players on the stage and he was being chased down by the other. I mean, there were some really tight points on that, and even early in the game we saw a nice steady grow up as people were taking round after round back and forth.
Well, Akron goes to their match point. I mean, it's a pretty early match point with the best of three, but it is match point nonetheless. We will be going on to Split to determine who is going to win this match. And as we head on over to Split, again, you know, we really aren't seeing any of the really wide open, expansive stages anymore. Split has a lot of enclosed corners like Bind does, has a few places where an op can be used for a long straightaway, but nowhere near, you know, a Breeze level of just open space.
That's true, or well, at least the old Breeze.
Yeah, at least
open
the old
space.
Breeze, yeah. I'm still having to change my mind because it's such a huge thing. I should say not quite like an Ascent, like not quite the wide open mid that we're used to on Ascent. Everything is a lot more tight and Split.
It's true, but we've seen a lot of really powerful smokes, a lot of really powerful nades, and a lot of really present mollies and orbital strikes. I think this is the kind of playstyle that we're expecting to see from Bind, Split, and Lotus. I mean, it's a good lineup for these players, especially that really tight, packed together. We saw a lot of full man pushes, a lot of just bum rushes on 4 stacks. So I think they chose a good load up of maps, and I'm excited to move to the next one.
There just was kind of there was the dark side to that, though. Once, it's a very all or nothing way of playing the game. If the other team manages to get a peek on you, when all of your team is moving on a unit and they don't go down, they're able to get out of there, but they get the crucial intel of where every single person on the team is. Cypher, that's his whole ult. You know, so you have to charge up an ult to get that kind of information. If you can get universal information on your team's positioning by just one person peeking them, that's why it can be risky if you all choose to go at the same time.
We didn't get to see a really, really satisfying showstopper either, so I'd love to see that in the coming rounds.
That is true.
We saw two of them shot out of the air.
We saw raises being shot out of the air left and right. I tried to hype it up so much because I love seeing good showstoppers, and then just about every single one was just stopped.
I mean, just a classic from the beta days is double blast packing and getting just a devastating shot, especially when we see the teams piling on top of each other like this, where everybody's inside the Viper's pit, like that one just epic shootout, or where things are down to the sidearm on jump shots to the face. It's so fun to see those just really big in-your-face kind of hero play. But like you said, raises were being thrown to the wayside, so hopefully we'll get another chance as we move to split.
It's ironic that the bot got a more exciting play than any of the showstoppers.
I mean, you see where the support for Wingman comes when the only kind of bot plays that we got were from Raze, and it's just not. It's an all right mechanic, but it's not as cute as Wingman is. And these plays by Feral.
It was more so just in the regular gunplay where raises like Feral were able to shine.
Yeah, this
very nice. And
this
this wasn't just the quad that Feral got. This moved on to a full-fledged ace. And like I said, it was the redemption that Akron was looking for after an unfortunate last round. Just nice blast pack. Chamber holding what looked to be a sniper, just had one chance to do it in the blast pack. With the velocity the Raze is coming around the corner, that's a difficult snipe no matter who you are.
It's true, yeah. We had a lot of difficult snipes. Even the Tour de Force only got a little bit of value out on this game, and we saw ops change hands so fast. They just went back and forth.
That is, the two things that I was thinking were going to be the big playmakers, which was the showstopper, and we already talked about that, but also just what the Chamber could do on the op or the Tour de Force. That also did. I think there was maybe 1-2 op picks throughout that whole game, but after round 4, really nothing really from the op.
Yeah, and I can think of 2 times where a good op in someone's hands that were capable of using it, were full health and everything, were trapped in elbow or were trapped in a really tight lamp space and couldn't do very much with it and had to switch to a more close range gun. So it's the positioning of it as well too. And if you drop it in an awful place to have an op, no one can pick it up and be somewhere else. You then have to get there. So the ops got absolutely trapped a few times, and we ended up with mostly sidearm games when it came down to it. So I'd love to see those make their way as well. But it could just be that, again, with the map styles that we're seeing, these snake-like maze situations, we won't get a lot of good op play today.
And it's really a testament to whenever a team was egoing, they were really recognizing when they knew they were going to be in a disadvantage in terms of range, so they changed up the way they played. They were able to fight in close quarters where the handguns had a chance much more often, because nothing can be more brutal than if you're having to save a round and all your teammates have classics and yet they're playing and holding such long angles that it's like that's a job for a Vandal.
That's true, and we saw a roller coaster on the economy. I mean, that was really the thing to look at when you were trying to predict how the rounds were going to move, and really the thing that brought in the intensity as we closed in towards the double digits. They just had few ways out and were barely scraping by in a couple of ways.
Take another look at the lineup that we have the Bobcats and the Zips bringing to the fray. I thought Vorses was such an asset to the Zips in the first half. Was just holding his own in situations where he was 3-on-1, 4-on-1, and like I said earlier, was getting that crucial information on where every single Bobcat was over to Akron. We saw so many times the Zips were just more than happy to use the teleporter and walk onto a wide open site.
Just as well, we've seen the Rams. We've seen Rams and Feral, which were both of the raises on these teams, really kind of set the pacing of the game. And it's a match made in heaven, raise on bind. It's a tale as old as time, but they showed us why it is that way and why it's always going to be that way, and really set the pacing with a lot of area effect damage and really spearheading with a lot of first bloods and setting up great positions for the smoke and molly bundles that we saw coming out of the Brimstone.
Getting ready to move into the second of this match. We are going to be heading over towards Split. Should the Bobcats manage to stage the victory here, it will ultimately go to Lotus to decide everything. So, do you think we're going to be going to a Game 3? This is the time where we curse ourselves and trying to predict what's going to happen. But you've got the choice. You can either bet on red or black here. Or are we going to a Game 3 or not?
I definitely could see us going to a Game 3.
No. You have to predict, okay?
I have to predict?
Yes, you have to predict. Listen, you weren't here yesterday to suffer through the horrible luck that we had with predictions when we were here for NACE Starleague Overwatch. So you have to make a prediction here. If we're going to get it wrong, you have to have the chance to get your prediction wrong as well.
I'll say I see it going to a Game 3.
Okay.
I see it going to a Game 3 just because we saw so many rounds in a row and so much snowballing effect from these teams. When they had a couple of good wins, they were able to keep it moving, and the momentum was there. And we started out with one team on attacking that's now going to be on the defense. So I wonder if that's what it takes. And that would be all it takes, is the other team to win one round, and we'd be moving right on up.
We're taking another look at just all the plays that led us to this situation. Brian Stratton made quite a run for it in the second half. They were close. Oh, I don't want to see that again. The third person did see the shot from behind the crate and turned left, but it was still a very quick. It was still demanding a very quick reaction time, whereas the defending player was just holding up behind that box. I say defending player. Technically, they were on attack, but it was, oh, man.
Yeah, we saw a lot of really good displays of reaction times. In particular, there was the one defender holding the Guardian that were able to take down a wall shot as well as one right around the box on cue of the defuse. We saw a lot of really good technical play coming out of these players, and I think that foundation is absolutely critical, and being able to stay cool during a tournament and during week 3 in the NACE Starleague plays. That was Bobcats v Akron.
Bobcats versus the Zips. Brian Stratton versus Akron in this week 3 match. Akron is heading to their match point, and I've had enough of the hot desert. Let's move to somewhere a little bit more temperate and head on over toward Vine.
Here is the Pop City that combines a little bit of grass with this urban feel as you play around lots of buildings, a little bit of sewer-style tunnels, and the feature, the quirk that made this debut map special, the vertical ropes. I mean, they may seem very typical right now, but this pathway that could have just been straight, the devs added a whole bunch of verticality to, threw in some ropes everywhere, lots of ramps, places that you could dive off balconies as heavens. And we're going to see Bobcats v the Zips here again. Akron taking the attack first.
They did very well on attack in terms of buying, and they're going to waste no time. Southie caught in his reload, however.
Brighton Stratton to get the first kill there. Vorces looking to make their way up. Bugs following.
Spike down A.
Farrell to find one. After Vorces goes down, bringing us to a 3v3. It's all a play for the heaven here. Rotations are coming out. A slow player walking nice and easy from B, as we've not quite yet gotten account of all the red players left on the map, but health is low for the 2 that we have seen. Bryant and Stratton just holding it in, slowly closing. There hasn't been a whole lot of threat of plant, just a lot of action so far. Rams making his way. Sees 2 already. Is going to go down to Bugs.
Beats the Sheriff with the classic. Now there's just 1 left for Brian Stratton. I have to wonder how much healing is left by that Sky. I saw a little go out.
Yeah, with good enough technical hand, the classic, it doesn't matter how many times they try to nerf it, it is still just so good.
Naquan, the only one to be pushing in. Gotta be careful with how he peeks around, but no one from the Zips is peeking. Of course, if he engages the Brims, the Hawk comes out right away. They flip the trap card over onto Brian Stratton and the Zips take the first round.
Interesting to see at this level, your flash doesn't even have to hit for it to be effective. I mean, just them having to 180 and realign is all that it takes.
Moving into the second round, the question of what they're going to bonus with is pretty standard. They're just going to go all Spectre. No fancy, well, no unorthodox, I should say. You know, hey, I'm comfortable enough, you know, with sniping that I can snipe with a Marshall on offense. I don't care what anyone says. But nope, everyone's going to go get some information from the dog and the chip damage as well from it. Tusk goes through. Fire through the smoke is going to take out Feral.
And look at this, the spike player, the initiator holding the spike coming rolling right up the center. We haven't talked a lot about the positions of this map and the picks. But that is not something we would expect ever. People come running right up mid. It's all kind of shaken back down. They're holding into the B area. And defense now has got the chance to take that space. Bugs holding strong the utility, just waiting.
Goodness.
Oh my, it's not quite going to be there. That's not exactly what that's for. 2-bit takes him with the classic to no problem. Arsuez getting the plant in. And Vorsays holding heaven from outside the smoke, just looking around. Letting him have the space, letting him feel it out. Absolutely pranking him. He's looking to follow back up and look for a very gentle pinch, and it's all they need. Look at that two. With the opportunity for a 3. The jet dash is going to spoil it. Rams looking for something else. He's going to bait out that shot, but with 2 people staring down the same angle, there's no way Vorsis takes a 3K. And that was just good game sense. That's
And
just years of play.
I gave the Zips, I gave Akron so much grief in the first round for that one round where they didn't check their angles. But this is Brian Stratton's same moment, not looking back into heaven, allows an easy double to go through, and then it leads to a 2-on-1 against the Bobcats.
Admittedly, they looked it over as best they could without going chasing down the back stairs.
Not before the smoke dropped, however.
Not before the smoke dropped. No, they didn't go looking around.
I mean, after the smoke dropped.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yes.
The smoke dropped, and they act like there was no one on the other side of that smoke.
Leaving the spike in pocket, we see a 0-2-3 split. They're loving that mid now. It's good to have it back after playing a good game of bind. Feral, as the smokes go down, has to respect his presence from heaven, but Sulfy still has a little bit of command-driven smoke up in heaven proper. They're making their way around, just checking the corners while they can before that smoke goes down. And they've got to deal with more players up top. Rams from a distance, no problem. Peeking out from screens.
Very nice. Southie trades it back. It's 4 apiece. A little bit of fire going through mid. No rotation coming out through ropes just yet. They're claiming their space on heaven. They got to make sure they have one checking ropes, or else this Viper could get a shot into the back. And that's exactly what happens. Sky goes down, and there's only 2 left for the Zips. It's now 3-2, a little bit more
30
even.
seconds left.
They don't have too much time. They're going to have to settle for planning on A, but it is wide open. So plan it down now. Get the credits, as many credits as you can get.
Spike
I think they might just... They're going to have to settle for having 2 people split up here. One to watch the front entrance and one to watch the back.
Toxin screen down.
Hopefully, that'll be enough here. One of them's going to get a little bit of contact as we see the defenders rotating their way in. 2 in screens.
Yeah, I like this
Start
rotation
tossing
up
good
through
utility,
heaven.
yeah. Gonna be getting a little bit more of a bird's eye view. Sulfy
Nice.
right in the pit of it finds
Last
one.
player
Can they
standing.
find the next one? Is there the last one alive? And no, Miro with a beautiful 1-2 is gonna bring in their 3rd kill and facilitate an easy defuse by Niquam.
The crosshair placement was perfect in terms of verticality. It was just a little bit too far to the right for Sulfy to be able to pick that up. But still, they'll get the credit bonus for planting the spike. Considering the fact you don't normally expect a team to win their bonus, they were able to get a whole lot of eliminations that will help their credits as they go into round 4. Although maybe not as much as they were hoping. They're having to settle a lot here. It's a full save.
We've seen a lot of strong hero-style players here. I mean, Selfie took 3 and then went down to Miro, which took 3.
This is interesting. Neither team
Poison's
can
off.
get full ARs.
Get out of my way!
Yeah, because the creds have been so displaced from all the 3Ks and 4Ks. I mean, there's some people who could almost afford an op, whereas their teammates are struggling to get by. And in order to keep things even, it gives it this forced pacing.
All right, give me a good Bucky play here.
Oh,
This is what I want to see.
that was the opportunity right there. Going to throw the boom bot. All the information you need to know. Shooting through, goes chasing. 2 different smokes stacked. Are they going to find it? 2-bit is so close.
Oh.
Sees the hands.
Aye,
Runs right
gets
back
it.
in for the gut. It's a place. The Rams and another neck of the woods are taking a few with the knives.
One enemy remaining.
Already up to full. Oh, and another one.
That sucks.
A 3K. Another 3K off the ultimate. Dropping the spike on the last player. Brings it up to a
Let's
2-2.
go. I got things to do.
Such a close game still, and we've seen some wild plays already. That was a satisfyingly short round. We got to see two exciting frags.
Okay, 2-bit has to graduate from the Bucky here.
No,
you have,
they
you have the
don't.
credit. Or else he's just comfortable being the angry grandma on the porch. Get off my lawn! Because,
okay
hey, it
seeing
worked
that.
last time. He was able to get the pick with the Bucky. Or he could just be baiting us. We have seen a lot of baits. But, hey,
Yeah.
if he wants to go all out with the Bucky, I'm not going to get in his way.
He did have small shields on, so maybe it was a little last-minute twist. We'll see what he decided to land on. As the Zips are moving straight up mid, they're going to have to deal with a little bit of info-gathering utility coming out from 2-bit and Micro. And 2-bit, what's he holding? Is that a Bucky I see? This would be the position to be holding if we're at the case.
Bombot's going to find out.
And the smokes build up and then diminish. Feral with a little bit of an off angle. Just holding the one. Oh, nice. Sprays right across.
I've
Cutting
got your
Feral
trail.
down to half size. The cabbage is going to get moving, and that will facilitate an easy wrap straight to B as most of those little shrubs of info go rolling out of the site. More vision now
want
to
to
hold it
fight it?
down.
Spike planted.
And Bryant and Stratton are forced to do a little recon
Sight.
as they re-enter the site here. Rams queuing the dash away, making very sure they're not going to get any kind of a pinch or any kind of a flank.
Could go the way of either team. Barrel picks up his triple. Could be looking. Nope,
Last
not going to have an
player
ace.
standing.
Naquan picking up a very nice 2-piece. Rams is going to clear up. There's just one
Whoa.
left. An almost possible collateral pulled out there by the Zips, but enough time for the spike to be diffused. The Bobcats go back into the lead.
Though it was a very, very close one. Even just a little bit more wasting time or holding that spray a little bit higher could have found it. It has been down to convincing levels. And still, we're caught in a nice back and forth. We're up to 3-2 now.
This game a lot closer in terms of the first half. The last game ended up being close, all things considered, but remember the first half when Akron was attacking, they got 9-3 on Bind. They would have to have a
That's true.
perfect half from here on out to meet that same pace. And that's going to be hard considering the fact that they're going with a half purchase once more. Few sheriffs, one stinger. They got their work cut out for them.
Right
This
there.
has been the most shaken down and settled. We've seen the attacking force play onto the sites with a 1-2-2 split. And this is a very back foot and very, space handling style
Obscuring vision.
coming from the Bobcats. Not giving up a lot of info, just holding their positions. It's the reason a lot of us get to watch from the red side. A good defender has a boring
Oh!
game. Look at that peek over Feral. Does a double take.
I know he saw. I was
Can't
about to say he
believe.
saw the head peeking over. Did a double take.
Oops.
Rams held down that point pretty nicely. Trades 2 for 1. Akron is going to be able to get on 2 points.
Spike
Is tied
planted.
3 apiece. No ultimates to speak up for either team.
The spike is down, so these two Although they're defending a bit uphill, literally.
Versus being careful to make sure there's no one that's going to flank. Doesn't have to worry about that from my point of view, however.
Oh, there it is.
He is the one flanking, however.
Nice.
I like that. Vorsis was being very careful.
I was worried that Vorsis wasn't going to have a big contribution to the round. That's why I said the 3v2 of them just forcing that boulder up the hill, looking through the window.
Great.
Look at that. Just sees. Is that true? Was that a blonde Vandal holder I saw? Yep.
And then this great moment.
The Ion
This great
Sheriff.
Vorsis was worrying about getting flanked. Little did the Bobcats know that Vorsis would end up being the flanker in the end. And this means full rifles for everyone.
Almost.
Akron is up to Phantoms and 1 Vandal.
We do have a single Stinger on the loose. That could be fixed with an easy bonus if we get a nice frag early on.
Nice play by Vorsis. Gets rid of the 1 Bobcat hanging out in mid. Shells thrown out. Just try to
Boys
clear
and
out
orb
Kevin.
emitting.
Rams
Okay.
replies with that fourth and mid.
Oh, here goes the showstopper. Can this one get a bit more mileage? It's going to go out around the corner. Look at the wrong way, however, but goes over that one person. Almost had a chance to go over his head, turn around and get him, but didn't see him the entire time. It still gets 1 player, though, so it's a 1-for-1 trade. That's the wackiest 1-for-1 trade I've seen.
Yeah, that's wild. I cannot believe they survived that long or turned the long way to see that player on rotation instead of the one that was holding the angle, and it was a wide fly.
Oh, that's great
expert.
communication on that Rolling Thunder. That was perfectly played.
Hit him with the old 1-2. An excellent click of the C button by our man. It just did still
Yeah,
at the end,
unfortunately,
falling.
unfortunately
Didn't know
that
what exactly
replay
they were
didn't
looking for.
catch
Yeah.
the full glory that was that play.
Arcs was to find the last 2 with a good utility assist. Moving Akron up to 4 points with loaded wallets. They might be here to prove you wrong and get that perfect
Oh, I
half.
like this Viper spit here. That just closes off A entirely.
Yeah, they're going to be rotating through the loudest rotating tunnels of the game. They got to do it slowly, but man, what a journey. Only to be met with knives at the top of mid.
Great hit by Naquan. Going to get a free gun off of that.
They successfully make the rotation on his site. Salfi checking
I've got your trail.
the forbidden angles. B-main and garage 2-bit. Fending off the utility only barely. Bugs is going to find 1, and 2-bit takes just enough damage to make that a difficult jump on the blast pack. Showstopper does find 1, and with 10 health left, dumping utility here, trying to just get out of garage. It's not going to happen, though. And from above, Micro.
This is not the gun you want to have
Ooh.
trying to be sniping with, but he does contribute with some chip damage
Boys and orb
to
emitting.
help his teammate take out that race. He's going to get a better gun, but as soon as he's picking it up, he's taken out by Bugs. Picks up a quad, all things considered. Puts Akron up to a 2-round lead.
Yeah, the typical graveyard camping. Oh, look, someone dropped this gun in this very safe place. Oh, it turns out that maybe the reason they dropped it was it's being camped, absolutely.
Another showstopper. The showstoppers are at least getting 1 pick every time they're used, so we're having a definite improvement over Bind.
That is an improvement.
I did say that Akron would need to have a perfect half from here on out to meet the same pace in Game 1, and they've won 3 in a row so far. So they're a third of the way there. Still a long ways to go, but very promising.
Yeah, it'll take something special from the Bobcats to shut that down 2-bit. Toss in a little bit of utility out, kind of hold in. And if they want to step into the long sight line, they sure can. But who knows what could be waiting for them on the other side. Can Snox hold this one in to get flashed? And here come the forces from the side. A beautiful cross angle from Miro is going to hold it together. Snox goes down, though, to Arceus. Murphy looking to rotate, help out a little bit on mid, but it's not enough. Forces and Feral are going to be closing off that section,
Recovering it.
bringing it to a 2v3. As the rotation comes around, Bryant and Stratton are spread thin. If they want to work
Player
together
standing.
to reclaim this site, oh, they would have had a long way to walk, but as Nequim goes down, it is a hero's journey
Spike planted.
through the defensive spawn to find 3 Zips holding the site tight.
No need to get fancy here. We're going to make sure that they always have a double angle set up on the spike. Just let 2-bit come to them.
2-bit very deliberately sneaking out those corners. Oh, and it's just a great timing. Maybe they heard him clomping around. Maybe they knew exactly how much time he'd need left, but they take it, no problem. Moving it up to 3v6.
And the timeout is going to be brought out by the Bobcats. Brian Stratton get a chance to reset things. If you're their coach, what advice are you giving them right now? What's gone wrong that they feel the need to use a timeout here?
I don't know, sometimes it feels like it's not even their fault. Things are just in a tricky situation. We talked about the momentum and Akron being able to just roll win after win in a row. And we saw that last game too. The 1-for-1 was there for a while, but Akron takes a very big lead in the currency, and it's just difficult to keep up in credits.
They are in a great position where one win almost turns into 2. If there are no thrifties being brought out, then you're going to win the eco round that comes after the full purchase. So Akron really, there's probably 2 opportunities left for Brian Stratton to meet them in terms of even gun purchases for the remainder of this half. If not, we're going to a similar 9-3 that we saw in game 1.
But that wouldn't be too bad. I mean, they did well with a 9-3 uphill sweep push the last game, and if they just get it a little bit further, they might be able to make it happen. But you're right, there's not a lot left here in this half as far as credits goes, except for the fact that a few consecutive losses do get you a little bit more creds than the first one. Maybe that'll be enough. Here we see a split position.
Most of the Zips are heading up through A, and that is a pretty good decision. Of course, they don't know it yet, but there's only one person holding down Heaven, and with the dash forward, they take him on 2 different angles, forcing him back into ropes. They don't get the pick, but they have cleared out A all for themselves.
It looks like the Bobcats were looking for a serious gamble on B, looking to get a big pinch around and a nice 4-man flank, but it's not there. Now they've got to scramble back to the main site. Oh, what a hold by Bugs to catch 2. Pulls up the utility a bit early, but it's not too early. Finds another one, and Arswaz with 2 closes the round in a flash finish. I mean, the Bobcats tried something new. They wanted to get a good push around through mid, and we saw that last game too. They took a timeout and wanted to play something ridiculous and move through as a unit for a large flank, and it just didn't work out in the end.
Well, as a Phantom enjoyer
Right
myself, I am loving the way that this is playing out for the Zips. And it really is a great position for, you a lot closer corridor, some more narrow
Right there.
hallways, and just kind of the more spray control you have with the Phantom over the Vandal, really paying off.
My ult's ready.
Point picked up for Bugs. That's going to bring him up to his Rolling Thunder, now online.
Presence is mid, has been detected. And interestingly enough, we see a lot of times the Bobcats respond to a presence in an area not by moving back there and giving it a little bit more support, but instead wrapping around into other places, knowing, by deduction that those areas have to be weaker. So they push up on A a little bit. A little bit of a feedback here as Akron coming around to A site instead. They're going to be dumping a lot of the utility there, including an ultimate to absolutely clear the site. And it's theirs. As all... Oh, Bryant and Stratton are coming from above. Behind the wall, the Great Divide.
Dog is going to be thrown out through that wall. Selfie has gotten up for himself. And gets 2 right away with it.
Get out of my
And Rams is only barely jumping over the shots there. And from the side, Snox is going to take Selfie.
Even if they just trade 1 from 1 from here on out, they've got the round.
last player standing.
Ooh, they said 101 is not a conversion rate that we'll even take. They take 2 more. And Akron survived.
Last round before the switch.
With 40% of their players standing.
Well, it's been quite a rally from Akron. Excuse me. They have won 5 rounds or 6 rounds in a row. If they win 7, they'll go up to 9 total for the first half, matching their pace in Bind.
And there's the op.
Now, Op and McQuam having to settle on a Bulldog and half shields as well.
It's definitely looking tough. But if our op predictions are
I've
right,
got your trail.
it might not matter.
Conceal
McQuam
blasting them.
getting daring and at the last second throwing down a couple of smokes. They see Farrell, and Farrell goes low in health, becomes strong anyways, looking for something, pulls out, and gets shot right at the last second.
Last player standing.
Another quiet loss of the showstopper.
Switching sides.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I've been much more thrilled with how the Showstoppers worked out this game than last game. It's tough to think. Round 5 was where it looked the best for the Bobcats. And, they were ahead 3-2, and then ever since round 5, it was all Akron. Now we have quite a different scoreline set up for the second half. If Akron can win this pistol round, that means they'll be in very favorable position to win the next round, which would take them to 11. And that would give such a narrow window of opportunity toward Brian Stratton. I think the Bobcats have to win this pistol round, no questions asked.
Let's move right to it. You see the Bobcats funneling up mid while they leave 1 on either side. A little bit of pushback, but not what they're used to. Usually we see Viper absolutely dumping utility in this area. Rams staying strong. And as the smokes go down, if they take 1, they might try to move this up into B. Sure enough, they're getting all the support they might need to make it happen. It looks like a serious commitment to main. 2-Bit has already made it in the mailroom.
No eliminations, but in terms of damage, things have played out very well for the Zips thus far. They're chipping away Brian Stratton's health.
Looks like it's a last-second flex, and they'll be going for A instead. Maybe they counted a number of players they don't like their odds with, and are looking to play their games with the ropes. Meanwhile, Nikwam farms that ult orb and is going to move away from B. It's going to be a long time till we see them back in the action. They've got a journey to make. Snox is going to take 1. Feeling hot, comes rolling into sight, but at the last second, stands up, can't quite place it, goes hunting after the jet and finds it. Bonus is up to the Sheriff, but on low health, they still need to get the spike out, and there's no support coming. And that's another one for Akron. Closed up by Vorses, a little bit of low health all around from the start. That was a bleeding finish.
How heavy is Akron going to go in with their purchases? We've seen 2 Spectres so far, 1 Sheriff, 3 Spectres. The only thing that the Bobcats are going to take is a Sheriff. It's probably going to be used on A long. We see the Bobcats taking a formation that Akron used a lot when they were attacking. 4 on one side, 1 on the other. The one difference, though, is that Akron is spread out very evenly across this stage. So at best, maybe we can get information on where 2 of the Zips are.
Arsuez looks to peek off that utility, but the timing is all wrong. Rams to find 1 is going to find
huge.
a second one as well. Solfi tries to even it up, but it's not quite there. 2-Bit in utility war finds 1 in the darkness, comes rolling in, owns the area. It just tries to get out of there. Doesn't want to play the long game. Up in heaven, takes an easy heal and goes in for the initiation.
Spike planted.
Now we're into the retake 3. against 2, Akron down. This could be the biggest econ that we have seen all night, easily. Farrell is going to be the one to decide whether or not that's the case. Looking for a little bit of flank support, 2-Bit. Wants to be the one to shut it down. Definitely saw an elbow. Oh, goes for it. It's not quite there. Farrell to find 2. Nequam finds 1. It's a 1v1, and time's on their favor. The fight or flight comes out, and Nequam has to respond to the utility. As a controller, there's not very much they can do. Meanwhile, oh, they tried to jump into it. Nequam finds. That is the thrifty of the match. I mean, you said if Akron takes that point.
Yeah, I know. I was.
With all of those credits dumped into it.
They only had 1 sheriff. They had 1 sheriff, and Rams picks up a double with it. Gives the free guns over toward Brian Stratton.
Absolutely wild. That was an upset. I mean, the credits now have entirely flipped. Looking into the round, it almost felt like the Bobcats knew there was no chance they were going to take it, and were looking to hard save and find a decent attempt at winning the next round. But no, they take it with almost nothing on the table and get themselves into a nice, new, shiny set of Vandals.
Time to hunt.
Oh, good information with the dog.
Pull cat.
Noodles there. For Jet to just fire through the smoke. Pick things up.
Just kind of hanging around with the spike, looking for a little bit of rotation off of the A point. That information is going to come out to Akron, though, as they have 1 person scouting deep. Look at that play by Farrell. It's going to take a beautiful Marshall hit from a distance. Really a threatening hold, as they've got to be, considering they're the 1 person holding this down.
Suspended their hawk if they don't have anything to flash for
Oh,
this. Oh,
no! Pixels away. A beautiful trim onto the Jet, but nothing more than a haircut coming from that Marshall's second shot. You're going to need a lucky gun buddy to get out of this tangle. Oh, and the Marshall shot
it
again.
hits. It's a body shot. 2 bits down to 14.
Only a little bit of pepper damage from a distance is all it takes, and Arceus is there ready with the seasonings.
Oh.
Rams to find 1, and Farrell finds 2 more with the Marshall. What is he doing?
Wow. Marshall play of the, I don't know what is happening over the past 2 rounds.
Yeah.
The thrifty last round, and then the Marshall coming in clutch in this round.
Yeah, Marshall by Thrifty on B site, and not just from a distance. I mean, there was 1 long shot that you expected them to get. That was the first one. From there, I mean, they were just playing with the laws of physics. Yeah, Snox with the quick plant. Everybody just feeling low health to go down.
Also, they're both blinded, but one of them still manages to get the pick.
And Farrell staying true to his name. Just pulling out some nasty hits. There were a little bit of heals going there. I know Farrell was holding a lot lower health earlier in the round.
Well, it's not quite how we expected it to play out, but we did technically have the 2-1 opening.
Get out of my way.
Just swapped around a few rounds. But that still leaves us with the same score line that I was predicting, 11-4.
Yeah, but those wild card finishes show us that our next predictions might not be right.
But if the wild cards are evenly distributed, then this is such a huge margin for Akron to work with.
Those knives come out there looking desperately for little info. It's not going to be there because 2-Bit goes up and gets melee. Finds 1 on Bugs. One of the forbidden weapons. Miro doing a great job of checking the angles. Another double peek.
Brian Stratton is 4 strong, moving up through heaven toward A.
Oh, the long sight line's making good eye contact with a Spike. It's not quite there. Spike is going to find its way to the turf it so desperately wants to blow up on.
Now, if this sky is taken out, that's a great view from heaven with this showstopper potentially. It is. I wonder if they're going to go for it. The knives are out. You got to be careful, though. That knife could shoot you out in the air. Okay, here we go. Brings it out, fires it, and... just have to...
One enemy
Oh,
remaining.
Mars was catching. Jet in midair is always a good one. Forces looking in on the defuse.
Pull cat.
Hostile cabbages are out, just tracking down.
Oh.
So far away, they can just stick it. Yeah, there you go. Nice job.
And the insult to injury. having protect the president,
Match
shoot down the
point.
person peeking onto a spike that has been just recently defused. Is going to get one more point to the defending team. Akron Zips now threatening match point for the second time today.
Bobcats with a loadout that they would rather not have for this type of situation. But if the last few rounds have taught me anything, it's gun advantage somehow just means nothing for the past few rounds.
It definitely doesn't mean everything, that's for sure. We're going to see what they want to pull out for for potentially the last round. What an explosion. Beautiful shot by Farrell, making it all worth it. And another one. And look at Forces just going absolutely ridiculous, sweeping up the last round right through the smoke, and it's a defeat.
Congratulations to Akron. You are going to have your perfect season continue, moving on to 3-0 record. Maybe we'll see you next week, see if you can continue on that winning streak. But for now, enjoy your victory. Well, that's going to do it for the first round of this match. Do you have any final thoughts before we head to a break?
It's not over till it's over. We've seen some interesting plays come out at the last second. And every time I think I figure this game out, it's not over till it's over.
Better late than never if we're gonna be throwing out just idioms. All right, all's well that ends well. I could keep going on. But before we go to break, we actually want to also give a shout out to our sponsors that we have for NACE Starleague. We've got Truth and Duncan that we want to give a shout out to. First, we'll give a shout out to Truth, America's largest nonprofit organization dedicated to making nicotine and tobacco addiction a thing of the past. For more information on how vaping can affect your mental health, go to breathofstressair.com. And also, of course, Duncan, NACE Starleague Fall. NACE Starleague Fall is proud to sponsor with Duncan. NACE Starleague and America runs on Duncan. All right, that does it for our first few matches. We'll take a break and then be back with the second of the night. Don't go away. One more Valorant match for today after this.
all worth it. And another one, and look at Forces just going absolutely ridiculous, sweeping up the last round right through the smoke, and it's defeat.
Congratulations to Akron. You are going to have your perfect season continue, moving on to 3-0 record. Maybe we'll see you next week, Steve. Welcome to the NACE Starleague studio. We're currently in between our Valorant matches for the day. We just watched Brian Stratton take on Akron, and the Akron Zips got the win. So before we get to the next match, we actually want to check in with one of those Zips, Vorses, who's going to be joining us right now for an interview here in the NACE Starleague studio. We'll ask him about how things went. I'm your host, Jacob Palmer, joined by Greg Smith. We'll call in all the action for you and asking all the questions for this interview. So let's get Vorses in here so that we can discuss how that match went. There he is, along with the rest of the teammates. It's nice to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, and along with everybody else that's back here.
Well, I just have to ask, I think you really seem to come into your own on Bind, because your whole team kind of went with a 4-1 strat. I mean, a lot of them were and you were off to the side on these flanks, being able to catch all of them. I mean, you were going up 3-on-1s, 4-on-1s, 5-on-1s, and still managing to get all that info. Is that a role you kind of normally take as kind of a side player?
Yeah, so I've picked up controller since coming into Akron, and basically on Bind, our main thing is like I just sit over there and just kind of lurk and just kind of go crazy while they just run up B, and I just kind of poke and prod at any info I can get. So I'm used to putting myself in those man down situations, fighting for mine and just getting out if I can, or laying info that they need to get away.
Yeah, definitely a fun role that we saw you guys play there. Do you feel like your play style evolves throughout the run of a game, or do you usually like to stick to things you've practiced in the past?
So with my lurks, like especially like catering to my style, I feel like it depends on how the opponents are playing in reality. Like if they're pushing down, like let's say they start to fight me, then I have to switch up my play style, right? We'll go to like a 5-man style. But as long as like the enemies don't try to change anything up and they just keep it normal, I usually don't switch anything up. That's like the biggest takeaway that I can get away with. It's just being able to keep my lurk, and they don't even try to like kill me at all, which is why it works so well.
We'll get you out on this last question. Obviously, your team in the background, very excited about their win. We were talking about you and your play, but is there anyone on your team you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, so I mean, like, shout out today, Shepard. Shepard stepped up for us. He was subbing in today, so big role to him, taking that role, stepping up from one of our other teams. I mean, everybody just played super good today. I'd shout out to all of them. Shout out to the teammates. They make my job as IGL way easier. And, like, yeah, but definitely shout out to Shepard. He stepped up and played a big role today.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on your win. Enjoy your 3-0 record until next week. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. You guys too. Take care.
All right, that'll do it for our first match. But as I said, we've got more Valorant coming up for you after this break, so don't go away. We'll close out the day with one more best-of-3 match after this.
your head. They'll just come in fragments, never making sense enough to beget any big emotion, any sore regrets. They're just echoes. You'll hear echoes instead. What's the solution? I anticipate.
Welcome back to the NACE Starleague studio. We're ready to begin our second half of today's Valorant matches as we've got Cumberland out of Tennessee going up against Siena Heights out of Michigan. Both these private colleges. It's the Phoenix versus the Saints. I'm your host, Jacob Palmer. I'm joined by Greg Smith, calling all the action for you this match. And Greg, both of these teams, just like the teams that entered the first match, are undefeated.
That's very true. You were told correct. Cumberland from Tennessee has got a 2-0 record, and because of the way the bye weeks shake out, Siena Heights is looking at a 3-week record, and one of these are not going to make it into the next one. We've got NACE Starleague looking down the barrel of a little bit more offset match than the last one we just saw. As we're looking at the ranks of the players, it could be a serious fight, this one.
Yeah, we were talking about how evenly the teams were matched in terms of ranks for the last match. This match, if you were to just look at pure ranks, which ranks don't mean everything, it's more about how you play as a team, but if you're looking at ranks, then the underdog, if you want to call them that, I don't really want to, but if you were looking at it through that way, it would be Siena Heights would be slightly behind. But they have a 3-0 record, as you said, versus the 2-0 record of Cumberland, so it could go either way. We also know the order of maps that we're going to be starting off with. We're going to be going to Lotus, then Breeze, then Ascent. So basically complete map variety here.
Yeah, we get to see that Lotus play anyways. That last game didn't go to a 3, but starting right off the bat for sure, we'll be back into the tangled web of loud doors and piles of sand amidst the beautiful landscape of Lotus. Another just site shuffle after we've seen no mid and now a very, very strong and present mid that has had some beautiful games in the pro scene precedent in it already. And the players that are going to be playing on that today from Cumberland, the Phoenix, Magic, Sirius Aurora, Super Smurf, and Skyline.
And they're going to be going up. I'm sure there is a fifth player here, unless they're very confident in doing 4v5, but I'm sure they have another player. But they will be going up against Siena Heights. The Saints. It's the Saints, which I am told, I do know these names are correct, so I'm just going to read them off here. Piggy, Vialdi, T-Man, Sona, and Noble. And here we go. This more reminds me.
Yeah. Headed by Crispy Piggy on the Siena Heights. Those are the Saints.
And then for Cumberland, for the Phoenix, we have Morg, Cluey, Cascola, Bill Goat, and Foxy.
There we go. Look at them.
And I gotta say, I gotta hand it to all these players here. No matter who wins, thank you so much for having gamer tags that are no more than 2 syllables long. That just helps so tremendously. It also kind of makes you, I feel, makes you look more professional if you have a 1 or 2 syllable gamer tag. You know?
I'm appreciative of the Phoenix who is plugged in on comms, ready to sweat that place up. Look at him go. I love the PFPs that these teams are building themselves.
So now as we're ready to head into the first stage, we're going to be starting off on Lotus first. It's going to be the first 3
3-site map.
Yeah, 3-site map.
Yeah.
So what ultimately, you mentioned a little bit about the revolving doors and the sounds that those can make. Is there anything else about Lotus we need to keep in mind?
We've seen a couple shakes to the map, so just seeing how things have changed over the lifetime of this map. And the map doesn't have to change at all for the map to get a change, just the kind of playstyles that we see on A, where it gets absolutely dumped in utility. We've seen a lot already of good collegiate-style vision denial, just shutting things down before they even start coming in. And we've seen a lot of really, I don't want to say aggressive, but aggressive holds on places. And that's kind of what Lotus speaks to. When you have a map that is smaller in a sense, front to back, because there's 3 sites, keeping things quick and chomping at the bit is helpful here. So I'm looking forward.
And here we get an general overview of how the stage shakes out.
And isn't it gorgeous? I do love the way that Lotus looks.
It is a real beautiful stage. One of the more pretty ones to look at.
Out of the desert heat of Bind.
Yep. We're far away from that right now. We're more in the tropics, I believe.
And we will be staying in the tropics as we move to Breeze on map 2, but we can't get too excited first. We've got to close up the game here. There's that infamous door, which has caused so many issues, and this sight line right next to it, which is impossible to peek. A little ropes action.
We were talking a little bit about the enclosed spaces in the first 2 maps that we saw, and this is a very enclosed site, B here. It does come into play more often, a little bit more than the other 3-point stage, Haven. B doesn't come into play quite as often, maybe 1 or 2 rounds out of the whole half. But overall, I'd say B comes into play a little bit more often on Lotus. Then we're talking about C. We've got the mound that you can rotate around. Of course, I always love seeing, you know, a merry-go-round form around it where players are chasing each other like it's a cartoon. Overall, which do you prefer? If you're personally playing Lotus, which point do you prefer pushing?
I like the action on A site. I'm a real serious initiator, honestly, so I like the way that this right here plays out.
All right, we're getting into the fray, and we also get to see the choices that everyone has brought out. It doesn't really look like there's any major new choices in agents. Pretty established names thus far.
A few mirrors and a few not jumps outside the meta, but we're going to see some playstyle differences, which is always our favorite. Omen is a great one to have on this map. I love the jump around shadow step plays that we see. The KJ already getting some serious utility in as that Noble. He's going to be trying to deal with it. There it goes. Finds that one. A nice serious push onto C Long here as a Viper, with all the vision denial utility you will ever need, is holding down the spot. Gets a little bit surrounded, and Morgan's going to find that first pick. Not to say that damage hasn't been made, and Noble in between. An upsetting miss onto 3 players there. With only 2 shots left, Morg from a high angle. After a nice default plant.
Teleport's ready.
Just holding the sight down. Noble gets caught by that off angle that the shadow step provides. And as one more smoke goes up, Cascola is going to be finding a lot of value on the Ghost. And that is point 1.
The Phoenix get the first victory by a pretty wide margin too, so they'll have a good amount of credits to experiment with. Enough for someone to buy a Vandal if they want to, and we see one of their players hovering it. It wouldn't be the first time we've been faked out in that regard, so I'll believe it when I see it.
Is very true.
Someone might actually be bringing out a Judge. Is in a Judge state of mind.
Very exciting, as well as the Guardian. I love seeing these kind of offhand picks that are more suited to special positions instead of taking the all-around SMG and just rolling every corner. It shows the kind of packedness between the players when positions are already decided ahead of time and playstyles are set. Spiky in the pocket.
Talking about positions, this could be a very good push for them. There's no one really on B. One person rotating over. But if they push fairly soon, they can take this in just
Shadows traveling.
And look at all the value this must-pick mirror match Viper wall is getting. Absolutely shutting down sites before they've even started. Morg just waiting for the angle of dreams. We're going to miss it, but it does follow through as T-Man goes down. amidst the sight, Sona is going to fall from above, while Cascola staying as strong as they did last round. Brings the Phoenix in to a still flawless situation, adding a little bit more pepper damage to everyone but Algia.
Yeah, swings around, but just can't beat the Vandal that he's going up against.
Though that acid, the snake bite, did do quite a bit of damage, enough at least to down one player.
Of course, you can't judge a player too harshly on the second round, especially when the gun disadvantage is there. Now we'll get to see what Sienna Heights is made of as we head into the third and the Phoenix bonus.
And the Phoenix, only losing one to that snake bite, are going to be keeping all of those specialty guns they had last round in the bonus.
And the one Vandal they have, that could be crucial. The one thing that can match Sienna Heights in this round. They're going to be going in with a charge and immediately get a Vandal to the face or a few body shots, taking out their Rays very quickly. And more going wild on the Judge, picks up a double. Despite the early pick, it is a Judge clutch for the Phoenix. Now they're looking great going into post-plant.
And that was just daring. He ignored the early pick from behind him. And look at this, dropping back and forth. He made a shadow step through the smoke and ran amok with it.
Oh!
Absolutely finds one from the side. Sona is going to go down on a creep around the corner. And that was the Guardian finding that last pick, and the Judge found two in the middle. That Vandal wasn't as pivotal as we thought, but Phoenix aren't going to turn down any Vandal if it drops in their lap. Getting a full roster of full shields here.
We were talking about how the Phoenix have a few Radiants on their team, a little bit, higher up in the food chain, and they're definitely making that shown right now. They're playing comfortable. They're playing. Seems like they're having a bit of fun with it. I mean, look at that! You blast pack right into there and just take out the Sentinel effortlessly.
Absolutely outpacing the situation. However, Sienna Heights University.
Oh my goodness, a triple!
They were looking for a big flank, a three-man flank. It just wasn't there. One by one, the flawless fall.
I think at this moment, you have to start talking about if you want to be using the timeout at this point, but before things get too far out. And I mean,
there it is.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, Sienna Heights University have already tried a few things, so something serious has to change if they want to make it out of here alive.
And we also saw it there on that flank, that triple that we just saw. It wasn't quite as well coordinated as it probably could. One person tried to swing wide, but it was just everyone kind of walked in. It was a split-second difference. Very split-second difference, but it was quick enough that the spray transfer could go through for the Vandal.
They were working with a pretty deep lurker. So it's difficult to say if they knew that was the point of contact and if they were looking to all flash around together and that it was miscoordinated, or if they were just chugging the train along and it's simply that Sierra Heights University was one step behind, though they thought they were a step ahead.
Well, we'll have to see if the Saints can recover using their first time out that they are allotted for this match. I'm also trying to think of the overall eco that they're going to have to work with. They're obviously going to be forced into a position where they got to start saving, and we saw that even in times when the Phoenix are down in terms of weapons, they can still do quite a bit of damage. I mean, look out for their Judge player.
Yeah, it was wild versatility on the Judge and on the Guardian, and seeing them upgrade to Vandals is a scary sight for the Saints, I'm sure. No kind of spread out push. They are all holding on like so many kindergartners on a string at the museum to this Viper wall, just running straight up it right towards the site, making a beeline for the win con. And look at this, Sona just trying to hold together. It can't be. First to fall, and the Cabbages know all. Morg, another cheeky position. This is just classic Omen play. Always being behind you, Bilgo. Trying to get the pop here, can't quite find it. And the Saints are making a good step up. They do take 3 down. Unfortunately, Algia gets traded on some info there. Boxy Now is the last bastion to the spike. Got to hold these two together and get flashed and timing by
There
the two.
you
Look
go.
at
I
that.
like that. That was beautiful.
Beautiful coordination. Just menacing. There's no right answers. Even with a perfect 180, they were a nice, unjumpable space apart as far as spray transfer goes, considering that both of them could have nailed every body shot with the guns they had.
I don't care how high you're ranked, if you're Immortal or Radiant, you can't aim in two places at the same time.
It's true. Not from that angle.
Here we get just get to see it once
Nice.
more. Poetry in motion.
I mean, just the squat from both of them. Just
Yeah,
the control.
everything. The
holding.
all bits of timing that they needed to get down, they executed brilliantly.
Yeah. If there was ever a time to make somebody else's double peak, my PFP as a gift. Phoenix.
Now we also see the op is being brought out. It's placed very far up, but he is taken out and dislodged. A free op given over to Phoenix for them to at least take or throw off the edge because they're so close to their spawn. That's a huge loss for the Saints. Omen teleport out.
Oh. What a move right there.
I was thinking for sure he would teleport back. You see the other person running towards you.
Yeah, Crispy Piggy just holding that one down. Called his bluff and found another kill. Now, the Phoenix have not a lot of good options. It was to be that they were going to win the race there, but the Saints held strong, and now options are growing thin for Cumberland. The Tennessee players spreading out a little bit, trying to re-feel exactly where they want to hit. They know the time well. They have a good feel on the clock.
Time to hunt.
So they're going to check every angle, even though
30 seconds left.
time to plan is upon them. Cluey is going to find one on the Algia.
Welcome to my
That's the catalyst they need, dropping an ultimate to guarantee they get a good plant here. As Bilgo makes his way around to the default.
Spike planted.
C-Site is covered and crawling with the last 4 Phoenix players. And from atop and inside the smoke,
They've all got the shorties.
yeah, they have the perfect setup. This was clearly planned.
poison's off.
Just menacing when they all pull out the Oni shorties together to watch the smoke from inside, and the Saints recognize it. They have to hold this.
I think.
And just try to get some
I think the Saints
outros.
are just saving. to be
Yeah,
honest.
you just have to hold right outside and just try to get an outro too.
Oh, if they had stayed there though, those two, they could have caught him while they were rotating out.
Yeah, no devastating flanks here. Might be a little bit of contact through the wall with Cluey, but no one opens it, and the attackers take 1 point, bringing up to 1-5.
Well, we are seeing a lot of trepidation now be brought out by the Saints. They lose just 2 and they save, which in that scenario, I'm not saying that's the wrong decision. That's a smart decision for them to make, but they want to know for extra sure that they can come into these fights at the same person strength or at least an advantage.
Yeah, things have kind of solidified up after those just sticky, messy, wet concrete rounds that are the buy rounds and feeling out the play styles of the other team. It gets a little bit more rock solid as there's more on the line here, a 5-1. They know it'll be landslide if they're not careful. So the Saints are picking their battles and staying strong where they need to.
Here.
Chloe looking for early round space here. And Sona,
Whoa.
with a double blast pack, tries to just get out of there and is taken down by the op in midair. We might get to see some tactical op play. And coming from an Omen, that's always a fun one.
Cabbages are going to be expended. Right from the side of the Saints, just trying to find out where the Phoenix are ready to push, and the answer is A. Gonna start moving in, but not until they get some information from their dog. Gonna be checking all the angles. The Viper Wall is gonna give them great cover. There's 2 they gotta deal with. They smoke off 1 and might be going through the door or at least behind the wall to get to A.
Yeah,
Gonna
good.
choose the door.
Ooh. And this run is all about dividing this space in half. Both of those walls just trying to shut down the op player.
Oh!
Not quite enough. Algia
30
finds
seconds
Foxy, and Chloe's options are bad at best. Look at that, a double snake bite here. With with a good flash into Bass Pack, and he's not going to be enough. It is a trade in the end. Not the conversion rate they were hoping for, but they'll take it as Bilgo gets a plant off of it. Kluey holding from the backside as the last line of defense if things go awry. As a little bit of a flank comes around, though the dog to spearhead the flank.
Oh.
Wow, but he holds it together, and Noble from the side finds it.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, and gets the headshot just when he needed it. One more. The crosshair placement is perfect for Morg.
And Morg with a beautiful game sense. Just could have set an egg timer to that click and walked away to make a sandwich. He knew exactly where things were going to fall into place.
And Morg was the one also to even things up. The teams, it seemed like the Saints had a little bit of momentum, but Morg caught a flank out in A, put the Phoenix back up to a 3-2 advantage, so he was very instrumental in that round, especially when he can op as an Omen. You see, this is mostly a save round for the Saints. Tour de force used by the Saints just trying to even things up gun-wise. See how well that can do. Last time oh, this could be huge. He walks right in, picks up one, moves off, gets another straight transfer for a quad. Morg is on fire from a triple to a quad this round. A flawless by the Phoenix. They can't be stopped.
What a tough shutdown. We have seen teams of 3-stack or 4-stack get absolutely obliterated, but this is something else. Holding on to the one-way smoke, decides to dive in and finds one, avoiding narrowly the flash, works around the other two smokes and just spray transfers left to right. An absolute takedown, and the ace is eaten in another neck of the woods, but it's still a flawless. Just free money. What a round.
Holy.
You
Morg,
have to be shaking
you
after
gotta.
that.
Morg, somebody had their Wheaties today, is all I'm saying. The breakfast of champions.
Holding the long sight lines together and a Viper's Pit to cover the short ones. This round feels a little stuck. It's not as free-flowing as the last round was. Saints defense looking a little bit around the corner on A, trying to get any noise, but the noise is all on the other side, and Morg is going to be the first one, Noble, to find one to return, and falls to Cascola on the trade. Cascola now feeling hot, goes in to find the plant. Morg looking for his second kill, can't quite make up his mind. Between the two, decides to back up and funnel them into a better angle. Oh, the shadow step peek, just daunting. Taunting the other team, looking to dump his utility.
Just go right through with that teleport. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Back-to-back quads off of the Omen teleport.
And he pulled a lot of technical moves on there. I mean,
What is happening?
a shadow step backup just because he realized he could funnel the two players, didn't like the position ever, goes for the shadow step jump peek, which is really just a flourish.
And
Then gets this for the flank of ages.
Is
1,
he a
2,
Yoru in
3.
disguise? Because the way he teleported there, that seemed like a very Yoru thing to do.
Just like a round
But
the
of
quarter
course,
teleport.
we know it's
No.
not a Yoru because this play was actually successful.
Now that is old school Omen play. This guy's had a long time of just insta-locking the Omen.
I'm only so hard on Yoru because I got a friend who mains him, so I always give him grief about it.
Yeah, we do give a lot of Yoru grief in this studio.
Remember, your friends you have fun with, your best friends you mock mercilessly. Cascola gets the first pick. Sentinel, their chamber has had a really tough time setting up. It's been taken out a lot of times as the first pick for the round.
Found them. Placing swarm grenade.
Oh,
Placing swarm
gunned down by 3 players as he's trying to fight through that smoke. Not always the best call. Cascola getting a free plant down now. All they've got to do is stand on it. Foxy gets caught off guard by T-Man. And defense may have a play here, a little bit low on health for one person, but otherwise it is a 3v3. As they come rolling around, Cascola is going to be the first line of defense. And the non-stop use of utility is so good to see here. People just emptying their pockets once they get on site. There's another 2 coming out. A little bit of blind and a little bit of slowdown. All it takes, a quick 1-1 trade, and Morg coming in for another one. Cascola finding their 3. Didn't want another quad pick to go to Morg. And Phoenix take another round, a 9-1. Now we've seen convincing games happen at a 9-3.
Look at Morg's KDA, 19-2-6.
Unreal, unreal.
Now, it shouldn't surprise you to know that Morg is actually the team captain and one of the Radiants on the Phoenix's team.
True, that is true. He was named first on the rundown, and it looks like his name will remain first on the rundown.
All will cower before the name of Morg.
If he's careful here, he could get a 10x
Maybe
on the
that's
KDA.
why he's called Morg. He sends everyone he meets to the morgue.
You should
I
run.
back that. I'll have to write that down.
Let's see a Killjoy thrown down pretty quickly.
Cover going out.
Saints don't move. One of them's going to get detained.
It's a
Just
last-
out in time. And they immediately move in on B for a quick plant. Up through Morg has the shorty. Can he do it? No! Well,
It's not often that the barrel of the shorty
again,
gives you away.
I said earlier, it doesn't matter how good you are. Sometimes you can't aim in 2 places at one time. That also goes for the range difference on a
Last
shorty
player
versus
standing.
Vandal.
Swarm grenade
Speaking of
out.
range difference, Noble's going to find one with the op. Foxy falls again to the op.
He had a bit of a drought in the amount of kills he was able to get, but it was alleviated this round. Picks up a double with his op. The Saints get some much-needed momentum. They
clean.
are only going to have 1 round to enjoy that credit
Last
windfall.
round in the half.
Yeah, that was
absolute blind.
maybe a bit too confident for your own good.
Cluey doing well there. But Noble sweeps it up in the end. And they're going to hold on to those credits. But only barely. Barely by the skin on their teeth are they affording the pack that they've got here. They'd love to keep this loadout by finding the next round. Ooh. But Cascola would love to shut that down. Absolutely no one there for him to see, though.
This is Gutsy. He's moving
No.
right in.
No, and it's going to expire.
Thing is now, how does he get back to the rest of his team? Because this Astra is ready to intercept.
Yeah, just deep in the sightlines, and people are calling it in. Foxy and Morg to find their 1 piggy does shut down Cascola, and all of the eagerness that comes in with a double blast pack and a stuck W.
But good face-offs in A are going to leave that open for them. So
Spike
despite
planted.
losing 1 player, they're still looking good and have the person advantage. And a snake bite just to make things a little bit harder.
Yeah, the Viper's Pit's really going to cloud
I mean,
everything
Viper's
up.
Pit.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Sona and T-Man each finding their 1.
Go get him.
Ooh, Sona might get a chance to make a little bit more of that, but no, it's absolutely sidestepped. That's not the information you want to be getting. And look
Doesn't
at this,
know the
walks
raise
right
is
into
right
it.
there.
No. Yep, there it is. That blast pack, or sorry, the boombot there was deceiving and it rolled right on past the other rays.
That's done.
Oh,
And Bilgo with a beautiful flick near 90 degrees to close up round 10 in the Phoenix pocket.
well, this round is ended in a 10-2, looking very one-sided toward the Phoenix.
Not to say that the Saints haven't put up a good fight. There's been still some good gameplay coming from them. It's just when you're playing at this high of a level, it's a battle of mistakes, and a small difference can really be leveraged.
Phoenix will now swap over toward defense. Of course, you always got to keep in mind that on Lotus and Haven, you will be just a little bit more spread out in terms of places to defend. But the Phoenix have been playing so confidently and so point perfect that I don't think that's going to be too much of a factor for them. Sienna Heights taking some time before they want to push, but if they take too much time, they could actually get flanked as Bilgoat is going to send out a hawk, doesn't find anyone. Thinking about going through the door. The chamber's behind there. Activates it. We might have a face-off and gets him right before the teleport.
And that was why we saw the entire teleport animation. They caught him just in 2 places at once.
This is why people complain about pain.
Yeah.
Because that is a moment
It's
where
things
you
like
want
that.
every single millisecond of a frame. That's where you want your 240 hertz monitor, your sub 10 ping.
Yeah, that was a
For
hardware loss.
split-second moments for like that.
We're sorry, Bill Goat. Yeah, that was a hardware loss. You deserve that.
Not to take away your contribution or anything.
enemy
Morg, of
remaining.
course, doesn't need anything to explain away his contribution. He picks up a triple in B. Foxy ends it for the Phoenix. And now that they're going to have the weapon advantage for the second round in half, I think we're going to be going to game point.
And look at them here again, just showcasing the versatility, having a little bit of fun. They've pulled out some of the wacky guns. It's not just everybody goes for a sheriff and the strong-willed go for the marshal. I mean, we're seeing one of every gun here, which I think make for more exciting rounds. I mean, we see the judge really play some dangerous things. We've seen the Guardian showcase in wild ways. The Bulldog is going to make its debut here, and it's going to take up the last credit, that fourth player on the Phoenix defense. And the Saints now, unlike the last round, to come rolling in. Only thing preventing them from running any further is that critical Viper wall, which is always so nice to have. And as the turn comes out, the judge is simply going to win and finds 3. Just mows down an entire team. Switches to the distance shot, but it's not distance enough. Algia is camping that corner. Chloe's going to close it out with a trade on the Guardian, and that is defense bringing it to game point.
Match point.
In Michigan and in Tennessee, it is almost closed out.
I don't know what more I can add. I mean, Morg is obviously radiant for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's just knowing like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? Grab the short angle, and because they just slow walked B, they're going to hard rush A, and I'm going to be there to say hi.
All right, this could very well be the last round. And this would be the round where the Saints would have been able to full purchase, but because their kills have been so lopsided toward the Phoenix, I was going to say they can't purchase full weapons, but a nice double by their Viper is going to make it so they have a chance.
Yeah, and then a
Just
dare.
don't play into this judge from Morg.
Oh, Morg wants it. They got a good flash, but they decide not to play off of it. He gets greedy, goes in, finds a good body shot, but it's not quite enough. Switches back to Judge, hoping that that was all they needed. They're going to come hunt him down. He may have baited them out, and it works for one. Is anyone else going to play the game? Put a quarter in and spin. Morg so close to finding a second one. They're just trying to jiggle him, and a
Nice.
2-peek finds it. And it looks like, oh, Cascola with a marshal from the long distance as they peek out a little bit too quick. Rumble's going to fall down.
Okay.
Cascola pacing it out.
One enemy
Oh,
remaining.
grabs everyone's crosshairs straight to the ground. Bill Goat
Defenders win.
brings it up to 13.
That was pretty one-sided.
It was fairly one-sided, but we still saw some serious gameplay. I mean, there were a lot of really fun moves that were happening with usually what are budget guns.
Well, it all comes down to Breeze as the one stage that is the Saints' last chance to hang in here, or else the Phoenix are going to move on to another victory and go 3-0 for the season. And I am actually glad we are going to Breeze, because I do think this is the first time in NACE Starleague that we do get a chance to see the changes going
Yeah.
forward. No, actually, I believe
had
you
that
saw
one.
it one. Yeah, you saw it beforehand, too.
Yeah. On week 1, we got to see it once, and I think those changes kind of shortened things in and made it a little bit less mobile and a little bit less maze-ish, and I wonder if that's going to affect all of the judge play that we just saw. I mean, things are still a little bit more stretched out on Breeze, and we're going to see a little bit longer sight lines overall. It is still the grassy greens of Valorant. So maybe that's what they need, because we've seen some decent long shots. I mean, the technical play from the Saints isn't bad by any means.
I don't think it makes too much of a difference, because even if there aren't as many different routes you can take or different flank routes you can take, I just don't see that being too much of a factor. If you got a player or a captain like Morg who can just easily take these 4-on-1s, 3-on-1s in a situation where he's just facing the other team.
That's fair. Well, I'm excited to jump on in and see what it could look like. Here's a couple of exciting plays from the last one, as if the entire game wasn't exciting. Yeah, this one was the debut of Morg for the game. A whole lot of jumping around.
And we just thought we had seen all of the craziness from there, but it just kept on rolling. Kluey also had a great face-off here.
And none of those were collaterals. Those were all transfers of 3K.
And just one final more cleaning things up for a flawless. And then this is the moment where it hit the fan. At least if you're the opposing team.
Yeah, Bill Goat already has the plant in, pushes the pressure on time, and Morg just absolutely mows down everything. The last player isn't quite enough. Cascola closes it. Man, yeah.
And then Morg wasn't done. I mean, it was back-to-back. He claimed a quad in one round, and then the very next, just so effortless and no time to react.
Yeah, and that's what it is about. It's the quick reactions that shows you it's been a long time practiced.
One
that
time
makes this
practice,
happen.
and someone might have their face right up to the screen.
This was a tough betrayal of the Boombot that anyone could have seen from a mile. Just unfortunate when the Boombot goes rolling past a corner and you think you're cleared. And smokes galore here. We saw a lot of shorty plays with the must-have Vipers really clouding up the scenes. It is just so nice to have that to divide all the areas, but then when you have a plethora of smokes, why not dump them everywhere? Yeah, more getting greedy and finding another two. Calls in the spinning door on cooldown to get in for another piece of the action and falls.
So now we move on to Breeze to decide it all.
We'd love to see it go to a third map.
I was just pondering on I'm just curious. I'm just curious who is more comfortable on Breeze?
Who is more comfortable on Breeze? It's a shame that we didn't see very much of a second half in that one because I would have liked to see the difference in attack versus defense. But I feel like when you're so far ahead, you can just play attack no matter what. You can always get into everybody's face and you can take less technical battles in your fights. So I think that Breeze will give us a little bit better of a show to the different sides play style. As we look at Cumberland from Tennessee and Siena Heights from Michigan, the Phoenix and the Saints. Is Breeze what they need to make this a turnaround to at least find enough econ hitters? And that's what it is too. It's a real snowball. A small difference can really be leveraged, and if they can just hold that small difference together, they might be able to last a lot longer here in the recently freshened up and kind of closed down Breeze.
Although I don't know if you can freshen that up. That's a very big shipwreck ship.
It is
so
a
that's
serious
probably not
shipwreck
gonna-
ship.
This no longer exists.
Yeah, it's true. It's gone. This is your
I
last
can
look
no
at
longer see the luminescence of the... No, that is shut down. We're not seeing any more nature. Instead, everyone funnel into this hallway.
it. Yep.
And then these pyramids also...
Need to be
that
appropriately
jet,
labeled.
I mean, the jet's not going to be peeking up above those now that they've been. And of course, you have mid that's been closed off, the right side from our point of view.
Yep. So Nest is a little bit less valuable, but it does seem more. The pyramids will be appropriately labeled, and like you said, no one gets to be on top of them, updraft or otherwise.
And then we were talking, I mean, probably the biggest things that have been closed off completely are the cave and also the hallway.
Yeah, I mean the upper tube hallway has been split entirely. There's no more if you running straight up the ropes and then just holding a nasty angle with the op. It's a little bit more divided now and takes longer to get through to the other side. It's a little bit more mid-funneled. They definitely shaped this one up.
And that door is all the way open now, too.
It is, yeah, no more hiding behind that. That takes away another big judging angle.
They did add a box, though,
Boxes are
around
nice.
the corner.
Yeah, and here you can't play Ring Around the Rosie as much either. There is a nice little box ladder to climb, reminiscent of the mid on Bind, like mid A. You can kind of get up into that cubby. It doesn't really take you anywhere, but it's nice to just catch people as they're walking by. So remember to check your corners. As we start off,
Toxins
an
going up.
excited defense wants to come and look things around. Come walking through the shop, aren't going to find very much other than a judge in their face, or a sheriff, sorry. Attack now making their rounds to B.
Phoenix once again having chosen to attack first. Move up to B, only has to deal with really one defender, and that Neon is out of there. He's evened up though, 4 apiece. That's gonna go down pretty soon. There it goes. Harbor choice by the Saints is pretty interesting.
I like it. It's more of a defensive feel, and we saw them try to take one step at a time inside all of the smoke, so maybe getting some good
One enemy remaining.
vision denial down, and we'll have to see how he performs here. He's got the pushing wall up. Oh, and just barely in
Are
between.
you kidding
He's going to
me?
go down.
That's tiny sliver in between.
They'll go with a 3K.
That is insane. The reaction time that you need for that. I mean, at that point, that's just a pure test of reaction time.
Yeah, look at that.
How
He's
narrow this gets.
intentionally skinnying up the angle and catches it by the shoulder.
Basically, at that point, you're just looking at one pixel where you know the head's going to be and waiting for it to change color.
And look at the Phoenix team, king of the fun guns, again going with 3 Guardians, a Marshal and a Bulldog. This ragtag group of sidearm DLC. Feeling everything out with a 2-2-1 spike in pocket. Oh, look at that spike handoff. That's high level. Unfortunately, Glue is going to go down. Doesn't matter how well you can hand off a spike.
no.
Sona will still find you. Look at
Viper
this from above.
knows the Cascola's there, but can only watch.
Oh.
But you bit off a bit more than you could chew.
Trades have been looking pretty fair, pretty far. Saints with a 1-man lead.
And this is going to be huge for the Saints if they can win this. They're going to get a whole bunch of free guns that they can use.
It's true. It'll be a beautiful bonus if they can, but Foxy would be ready to shut it down. No, they find it. The close round game shuts down the Bulldog, and it's another good man advantage for the Saints. Only 2 left on the
but
Phoenix
Morg
team.
is here.
Morg is here, and from a distance, he finds one and goes and sits down. It feels like he's invincible. He moves faster than anyone else. Jumped right through the harbor wall, looks to find another, and in midair and through a box. Oh, what is
Nutty.
he doing?
Nutty!
Bill Goat falls, leaving just Morg alone. That's good enough for him, he says. And he takes 3 and a beautiful flourish of left, right, left.
Normally, when a player, like you see a jet, or you see a chamber, and they have an op, it's like a really good determiner of how the round can go, especially if you're on a stage where opping can be pretty powered. Like I'm thinking of Ascent now, but of course Breeze was very famous for how good the op is.
It
When
was.
you see the opper as the first pick, and you know the team, okay, they picked a prime target to get rid of. Morg is that prime target no matter what gun he has. If I see Morg as the first pick, I'll know that the Saints have a real good chance here. And Morg is the first pick for them. So we'll see how this turns out.
Oh, Cascola. With just 1 toe left, limping around the site here, trying to hang in between the pyramids and watch threatening angles on skinny
Spike planted.
crosshairs. Crispy Piggy walking in from the Saints through the double doors to try to close in on this man, bringing it.
Enemy remaining.
Oh, and they find Foxy. Only 1 man remains, and it's Cascola with no health left. He still manages to find one through the wall. They grab him in the last second.
Nice play by Noble. Has to make it to the spike, but has plenty of time. Gets to show off that Valorant Champions bling.
That is the scheduled 1-2. Can they find this first gun round and start moving things in their favor?
Well, they are going to have the tour de force be brought out thanks to the great clutch gameplay of Noble. He's already up to 7-2. He was the one who also got round 2 very close in a 4-2 situation. Again, it's just the ace player for the Phoenix. If you can get rid of him and he can't make these solo plays, Cascola is also going to bring out an op, settling for small shields, but still wants to get to opping.
Oh, and an early shadow step to get some extra space, and it's not enough.
Nice!
More just being there early is not all you need. You've also got to put the trigger down. Bill Goat is going to reply, but man, that is a hit to their roster. The last 4 And both the Saints and Phoenix are now going to face off.
Poison orb emitting.
Spike is deep into the field.
Poison's off.
Are they going to take the
Toxins
scary
going
trek
up.
in front?
Doesn't really look like they're favoring A at all.
No, it's true.
Although
Except for
Spike
this
carrier
Cascola
op.
might try to. Oh, but he gets
Spike
smoked off,
down B.
however.
Cascola could just be looking for some kind of a lurk flank coming out of the Sentinel.
Toxins
Could be
going
setting up a good sight line just for that. The harbor wall comes out to
Toxin screen down.
assist Sona walking across. Good coordination there. These coordination fixes just save Sona's life and is securing the site for a few more seconds. Another wall,
I have the spike.
making Cluey's job difficult. He's going to go ahead and grab the spike and is
30
can't
seconds
even
left.
walk across.
That's a huge
Main.
trek to make, though, for
That
30
is a
seconds.
trek.
They got to
Drop
book
the
it.
spike.
And they have to get there with determination. You have to get there and plan
Oh, they
immediately.
dropped the spike off.
It could be a
I think
save.
they're saving, yeah.
A save coming out from Phoenix is a big thing for the Saints.
10
That's
seconds
serious
left.
ground to make.
Again, they pick off Morg, and things are really good looking for them. It's sunny skies.
They did pick off Morg, or rather they punished him for being greedy early. He tried to take a flash play.
And I think that could be the downfall of Morg, really,
Isn't it
too.
always?
Is he can make these great plays, but sometimes he just gets a little bit too cocky and puts himself in a situation where he's taken out.
Don't we all? Now to a 2-2. The Saints holding on to their op, but Morg has found one as well, and he is rolling in credits.
Okay.
Look at all this, just funding the team. Cascola, the only one left without. And there's no knives on that either. Cascola with a hold on to the shorty. Knows that if they grab this orb, then knives are on
Yep,
deck,
now I
and
think-
here they are.
Here.
Doesn't want that. Pings out.
Get out of my way.
Gonna get smoked off. Brings out the knives. Now just about everyone for the Phoenix. At full strength.
If Saints can
Oh,
hold the
blinds?
backseat defense, very casual, just slow pacing the utility, they might be able to hold this one together, but the knives are coming out. With sure enough, Sova the initiator beginning the fight, but no. They deter a serious attack. The weight shifts, and they've made the rotation ahead of time. A serious adjustment from the Saints, but it's not quite enough. Morg can still see you. That's all it takes. Two-man gonna find two more,
Oh, man.
which is the catalyst, and Algia is gonna down Bill Goat. Oh, two players left. Morg is gonna be one of them.
Most importantly, the spike is down, so they can just keep an eye
30
on it.
seconds left.
Algia closes it up.
Yeah, I think they're going to force another save here.
Incredible. That Stonewall defense of recognizing any kind of push that you're feeling and respecting it. Wow, Noble!
Nice.
Noble to stand his ground and find another. This is impressive. We're up to a 2-2.
Oh, he has to go up against
10
Morg,
seconds
though,
left.
in an op battle. This is
Not if he
clutch.
doesn't
Can
want
he do
to.
it? He
Whoa!
does! The Saints pull into the lead in round 5.
Oh, Morg tried to take a close angle, and it wasn't the move. The angle advantage, the geometry. High school math was on his side, and Noble has been the last one alive in a number of rounds. What a good round. And a devastating hit to the economy, considering that Morg spent a lot to fund the last operation. It's back down to Judge, Marshall, SMGs. See what they can do with them. They've done some dangerous things with it before, but the Saints look like they've figured things out.
Yeah, this is night and day. They have turned a corner.
Oh,
They're
Morg.
ready to play.
Speaking of
Watch
turning a
out.
corner.
Oh, he turns away.
Oh, that barrel just gave it all the way. He checks his 180 and comes rolling in, is already bonusing up the gun. Foxy holding a great angle to see the barrel ahead of time as well. The cabbages are going to come out, and that's enough info. T-Man is not peeking that.
Foxy has good crosshair placement. Oh, he sees the dog
Sure
come out,
enough.
so that should give him confirmation that that sky's still there.
All right.
They're pulling into a lead now.
Wow. Something has changed. I mean, that was a devastating loss last game, and to keep it together mentally and recognize patterns and hold a little bit more back seat. I mean, when the cabbage came flying right towards him, he said, nope, I'm not peeking that angle. I'm going to lose that fight. I'm going to keep using utility. I'm going to keep pushing it back. I have people coming in from the other side, and sure enough, he was flanked off.
I think recognizing patterns is exactly how I'd put it too, especially with how Morg plays.
That's
They're not
true.
they're not falling they're not falling victim to his tricks anymore.
And it's not one style of win either. They've won one on time, they took one on defuse, and they've taken two on elimination as well.
Dark's going to be thrown out, trying to pick up any sort of ping that they can get.
Oh, it has to be a quick
Morg's going to
rotation.
come out through the smoke, especially due to that molly. but-
Oh!
Oh, gets out of there. Almost takes out Morg. I did think gets a few body shots on him, though.
Yeah, and it's
That
enough
helps
for Piggy to find it.
One down.
Piggy to get the 3K. Cluey doing a lot of damage, though. Finds two and holds himself at full health and shield. As that wall comes back together, they've got more options. But no, the wall is not available. Noble proving himself on the long sight lines, takes an op around the corner, and it's only one man left. The spike's on the other side. Is he going to be able to clear things out and save?
Oh, man, I don't know if he has the time for it now that he's committing off the spike. It's down on B.
He might be looking to wrap around and grab the spike from the other side. Piggy is incredibly low
Yeah,
of health,
just-
and Noble is set up for a long sight line.
Win it on eliminations.
Pulls off the sidearm, and he's looking for something.
Oh,
He
no,
finds
that-
one.
oh.
Wow! And Piggy, with near no health, is going to close out the bait and switch.
It's almost disaster.
I do believe the op was dropped by Noble when he switches to the sidearm, and Piggy didn't get it in time. No,
No, he has it.
it looks like Piggy grabbed it for him. Yeah, and he traded it. That's why Noble, or maybe Noble lost the creds because he just bought another one. There's no way he was holding on to double-digit 1,000 credits. I think Piggy picked it up and they did a little gun trade. But we do have, I believe, a judge coming out. Now it is the Saints' time to shine on fun guns. Look at that.
Viper's Pit used immediately. I can't say complicated words. Is used quickly to be able to close off the chop shop route. So it's mid. The Phoenix have to go. Morgan keeping an eye out around tower.
And they're closing in on main gates. Yeah, near the lighthouse. A lot of the players are having to play through these open doors into the A site. A few walls go up, giving them the chance to escape out of there without making a lot of contact. They're not going to go far, though. It could be considering just kind of pacing out a re-hit. But Saints have the read. They don't move.
Are they going to try to push through the Viper's Pit?
It's
It's possible.
I'll tell you what, it's
just
not what I
They have the
expected.
first advantage if they all go in at once.
Yeah, it might not be what Algia expected. If they could grab the person advantage at the close
30
range, and
seconds left.
do they have the guns for it?
They
Not
do.
quite. Oh, they certainly did. I'll do what the judge is going to fall down, and one judge comes in. Oh, and during the reload, Bill Goat falls T-Man from around the corner. Cluey.
10 seconds left.
Oh, the zappy fingers are out, but they only managed to pick out Foxy.
One enemy remaining.
Before Cluey finds a three-piece.
I don't think this chamber should commit here if he still has his off. This is a risky thing to do. He gets one. I'd be happy with that and run.
Yeah, Noble rematches on Morg, but no.
He's
Noble knows
going
he can
all
take
in.
more.
Oh, no.
I mean, it's against a judge. What's the judge going to do from that distance? He's playing Ring Around the Rosie with it. Nobody
There's not enough
gets
time,
to get out of
though,
here.
even if he did.
Oh, with the
No,
headhunter.
he's play-
Thrifty.
Oh, there it goes.
And as the wall falls, and Cluey owns that wall too, so when the wall falls, it's up to her.
Cascola says, thank you. I'll take that.
That is tough credit difference. I totally understand Noble going in for the elims, though, especially with the luck he's had, or maybe just the positioning he's been able to capitalize on. A tight one. I'll be honest, this game is not going how I thought it would.
No,
Saints,
I'm all for this. This had quite a few plot twists.
yeah, what a turnaround. 5-3. I mean, something changed inside.
Well, even if he doesn't have his op, he's built up a tour de force he can use. And, hey, the Jet for Phoenix is going to be more than happy to have an op to use.
Sure will.
Here.
Noble holding down this sideline through the top. Oh, gets found out by the recon bolt, has to
man.
reposition.
Yeah, after drawing that recon bolt out, there's only a few places you can reposition to, and they're going to be cloud bursting in, and they're going to be shutting it down with the shadow smokes. Bilgo getting an easy plant. Morg finds nothing off of that one. Win from a distance and through the smoke. Noble is hunting this man down. It feels like that's his only job. Noble is supposed to get in there, get Morg, and then hang out until the end game.
It is very thematic.
Oh.
Vandal, I gotta say.
It is.
You have one job, get this person.
And get out. Cluey now in the middle of the smokes. We've seen so many pivotal rounds.
With the op that was stolen from him.
Oh.
One player standing.
Yeah, Cascola on a roll with it.
Gets an ace. Well, we've been talking so much about Morg, but hey, you weren't the one that got an ace this match, were you?
Oh, the power, the dynamics. Cascola, I forgot that every Jet is a built-in op main. And it's all it takes. The Opper's holding the top of the leaderboards as Morg falls down in a second. Usually I'm not too concerned with who's the top frag, as everybody's contribution to the team is different, but the contributions to the team are changing. I mean, the Phoenix is actually going through a playstyle change here, as the Saints have had to do the same just to keep their head above water.
Oh, Morg is gonna teleport. Definitely had that one memorized. Gets able to find an off angle against their Viper. It's
Oh.
now 5-3, 5-2. And again, man, but it is getting close to the half, so I could see where you're going with the op, but I would still save it.
Spike's got the plant down. Cascola looking for something here, but Crispy Piggy just playing ring around the rosy with him. Narrowly jumped out of the way and absolutely sprinted. Cascola's not expecting him to be gone at all, but he's already on his way around to the safer side of the map. And it's a good save from the Saints. Phoenix throw up a couple smokes just to evacuate cleanly. And it looks like it's going to be 4 people and 2 people on the Phoenix and the Saints respectfully surviving into the next round. They're doing a little bit of a hunt, kind of checking out B site. There's a surprising amount of time on the clock. They might actually get a little post-round action. Oh! Only barely. Biggie finds it. Cluey wanted some post-round action, and they found it. Cluey's got to buy a fresh Vandal now this round. Quite all right. They'll take the point over a Vandal any day, bring it into a 5-5. And the ultimates are fairly even as well. We've got the knives coming out. That's essentially a free op of sorts. But it looks like they'd rather take the real op. Yeah, look at Noble. 14-5. Impressive. An impressive change, really, is what's impressive about it. The Harbor Wall coming out to give a very forward-thinking defense.
You kind of see the chain reaction also of not saving the op a couple rounds back, because had you saved it, you would have been able to have more credits as a team as a whole. Those Bulldogs that your team is having to settle for right now would probably be a factor. Just little choices like that, ramifications later on.
Yeah.
There's trade back and forth to bring things down to 3 apiece. Cascola gets a shot. Brings it to 3-2. Once again, the Phoenix looking pretty clear to plant on A. Now, I wouldn't object too much. It's the one thing. We're getting close to halftime, so it's not as big a thing if you lose the op here in these final few rounds.
Phoenix Foxy just holding
This crosshair placement.
a dead crosshair. It is right over the shoulder. It's not going to be there. Noble is actually going to find it instead with the micro jiggle peek. Grabs one, no problem. Brings it to a 2-2.
They got to move in now. They don't have time.
Just aiming for the shoulder. It may have been a body shot. Looking for another one. And the collateral.
The collateral shot from
Last round
the
before
butterfly effect of that op that was stolen. It does them in with the collateral.
Man, and just for extra fun,
Oh,
Just for the flourish,
goodness.
pops the ultimate right at the last second just to dump it. Who knows if that was intentional or not, but now Cascola needs all the new ult charges in order to get off. That denies back around. Looks like they're more comfortable with the op, and they've got plenty of credits to do so. We're seeing this cockiness come back out from the Phoenix as they're holding 6/5.
Since failing.
It might come back to bite them like it has before, though. Algia just looking to keep things together. 5 hit points and suppressed, then smoked. Morg is going to be the one to find the final 5 points on that one. Noble with a mean reach around finds 3. Looks for the 4th one, but it's not there. Morg holding it together finds 2. Stabilizing the post-plant scenario here.
One enemy remaining.
With a minute left on the clock, Sona
Poison's off.
all sped up and ready to go. Would love to find a way into the site here, but Kluey hasn't even got the plant down. Oh, and they get greedy with it. Are able to find one, but it gets traded. And they lose the 300 creds from the plant.
Switching
Considering the
sides.
fact the last round was 13-2, you got to be pretty proud of yourself that you managed to finish this off tied even at 6 apiece.
Yeah.
Sienna Heights is in this game to win it and drive us all the way to Ascent.
I guess that means both of my predictions about going to a game 3 were wrong.
You know, this is why I had you predict, so you could be wrong just
You,
as much
you
as we
didn't
could.
formally ask for it, but I'll be honest, I did not see the Saints pulling together map 2. Now it's in their hands. They're going to be playing on the defensive side now. Phoenix will be playing on the defensive side now, and I'd like to see how that changes that chomping at the bit nature that we get to see from a player like Morg. And Cascola staring right into double flashes, decides to peek anyways. Calls them on their bluff, but they were holding the upper hand. Morg does find one across the map, though, bringing it to a 1-1 overall. Still, Spike.
Going to throw down a one-way smoke just to make their life a bit more difficult.
Yeah, Bilgo with the angle advantage on somebody else's one-way smoke is just good team coordination that we're seeing from them. It is still a battle of elites here. The dogs can come out and gets vaporized by the knife. It's either stay or go now that the knife is out. Are they gonna go?
Dangerous peek, but Morg is there to bail him out.
Morg from the sidelines, yeah, saving everybody from the eye contact, and Medusa there is gonna go down to T-Man. But a quick trade out of respect for an earlier save when Bilgoat was holding on to something other than his gun when he makes eye contact with the entire other force. Look at this instant karma, just this teamwork here. Yeah, caught in an awkward situation. Morg holds it together. Morg looking to wrap back around for the 4K. Goes down and Bilgoat finds his 3. Or the 2. That's it for point 1. Let's see what precedent that creates for the next 2 rounds.
Cascola tries to
Ooh.
take an early peek around with the Marshall. Doesn't find anything with 2 shots. But hey, let's just keep going, keep the good times rolling. Nope. Let's just try again.
You know what they say, trying to be offensive makes an intimidating defense. So jiggle peek nonstop with the Marshall and they'll never be able to push you.
Strike fear into the depths of their hearts.
Sure enough, the Spike is going to creep away, and they'll leave one just to be a nuisance. Algia making the occasional shuffle noise with Bilgoat here. It's a Cold War, to be sure.
It's just standing there menacingly.
Oh,
no!
Gets one dude.
You should have stayed there standing menacingly. I tell you, if you deviate from the plan, things are going to go wrong.
Yep. Oh,
Oh,
wow.
that's a juicy dart to find out all their
Yes.
positions. He's going to put that to work right away. Dodges the blind, swings out.
Oh, almost got the Yeah, what a good one. And to see the harbor wall like shows where it's gonna be before it actually pops up, unlike the Phoenix wall, so you can decide to be on the safer side of it before it pops. And he did just that, had a beautiful 180 to the flash, and team, I don't know whether they got self-flashed or had some assist come out from Ally Util. Yeah, a clean 1-2, and just too many shots over the shoulder, couldn't quite find a third one there.
One chance to really outdo them in terms of the guns you have. All Vandals for Sienna Heights. As long as you don't fall victim to a headshot from a Marshal, you got a lot of stuff going for you. Find a way, though, to push through this.
I mean, they keep wanting to find a way, but it might not be there. It looks like the Saints, just by throwing a little bit of fire towards their way and having exciting rounds there before, have set themselves up for an easy dash onto the B site. I mean, save for one wall holding it split.
Save, and that person is Morg.
That's true.
With a judge, so now I'm concerned.
It is scary. You never want 5 people standing around the corner from Morg with a judge. I wonder if he's going to
no.
blitz in and take the run. Look at them go. They're considering
be careful.
it. Oh,
Very good.
oh, the coin flip. Where will they go? Will they take it? Do they take their chances with a short hallway when Morg is around the corner, or do they fight through the smoke and through the Viper wall to get onto site proper with the long sight lines? Morg gets antsy and hears them rushing out.
Oh, they're going to go all the way back over to A.
Oh, but he's chasing in. He might have a chance.
They got to move. They
Oh,
got to
looks
keep
like
moving.
just barely he's going to miss the spike holder. Morg is still running. What a hunt. Cascola is going to accept him from the other side,
30
though.
seconds left.
They've
gotta
got to
fight.
watch their backs, or else Morg is going to make them pay for it. Cascola now having to take shots. They're moving in.
A beautiful cloudburst just to hold this angle a little more securely. The sidearm was not quite enough
But
as they
where's
switch.
Morg? Do they know? He threw out a smoke. He gets taken out.
Cluey with a near
10
melee.
seconds
Now
Fuse
just walking
is
around.
Defused. That's great play by Sienna Heights. They tie this thing, or get one away from tying this thing back up. I'm getting too ahead of myself. But this is an exciting game.
We were 6-6 at the half, which makes this round 3, am I correct? Mm-hmm. That means this is the big gun round that we're looking for. No more judges. Sure enough, we see all the Vandals queued up, just 10 of them neat in a row. Oh, sorry, Cascola. Oh,
No,
there we
no,
go.
it- yeah,
There we-
it
all
can
right,
afford
okay,
shields.
Okay.
More. Of course you're going to position yourself up here. Why wouldn't you?
Why have that
got your
three-round
trail.
shadow step available if you're not going to use it? Oh, and the cabbage gives it
I
all
do like
away.
that. Yeah, that's great play around.
Let
it.
your utility precede you.
Oh, they're
Oh,
going to concuss him as well.
just hunting the poor man down. They keep coming around, but he's got people watching their back now, playing through the box. Morg looking for vengeance. Isn't quite going to find it, but doesn't mean he's never going to. Cluey finds a 2-piece. And on to Noble, the anchor of the round.
Enemy remaining.
Oh, Morg
Spike
with the
down, B.
crouch shot in just the head is going to go down. Defenders find it, but
Essentially playing whack-a-mole, just waiting for the head to pop up over the wall, and
Sure enough.
instantly.
shame one of them was the spike carrier.
Boom. No hesitation whatsoever. Well, Sienna Heights can still tough this out with mostly Vandals. They have to settle for one Guardian, but all of them have a very crucial 25 less health.
Yeah, it's nearly not settling considering the Guardian play we've seen earlier. Noble already setting up to take some mean peeks later. Cascola, again, a good defense is in your face. Oh, but decides to play maybe through the smoke. Get a little aggressive here. Let's see if it plays off. Noble, another neck of the woods, takes a shot and
Spike
doesn't
down
TP
A.
away. Something I've never seen the Chamber do.
He's just calm, cool, and collected.
Calls the rendezvous back, and they start making their rotation to B. And it's empty, too. This could be an easy plant if they could get the spike there in time. They've got time to set up for the post plant before the spike gets there. And
Last
Sona
player standing.
just gets walked down the aisle. Piggy finds one from a distance.
Spike
Foxy to
planted.
reply off the side. Look at that angle. Just cleaning up the site without ever getting in it. Noble, low on health.
Ahead.
Gonna throw out a dart. We'll see if that gets any sort of pings.
No pings, not even any crosshair baits, as that dart is left to expire naturally. Foxy, though, has definitely made his presence. Now he's got to get some value out of
check
it.
this angle.
Nice.
Yeah, but Sona is just waiting right back.
I mean, it's good to recognize. I feel like I could have imagined the Saints early game getting greedy with that and the three of them going stumbling after a player who's threatening them with util. But to recognize now, hey, one of us are going to die, but the other two can peek their spot. You have to play for the round. You can't play for the kill. And they're doing so much better now, and they're securing it. They brought it now to an 8v9, and I could see it going either way.
Noble is pretty obviously setting himself up for a tour de force.
You
They
want
have a
to
good
play?
gun
Let's
advantage
play.
against the Phoenix for this round.
They do, but all of the Phoenix players have their gun of choice in hand. I mean, I love that their force buy are all just the comfort picks. It's a mean team to play with because when you peek, you don't know what you're peeking. With a Vandal, you can check the typical Vandal angles, but here you could be waiting for Morg right around the corner, or you could be seeing Foxy from a distance.
That wall came up at just the right moment
Just
for
pixel
Noble.
perfect.
Nice,
And he
well
uses it to
coordinated.
walk across. Yes, the coordination is so much better. This is just satisfying gameplay. The Saints are really coming into their own here.
They're going to leave Morg on B alone and slowly move over toward A, give Noble some backup.
I would, that's for sure.
35 seconds. They got to move in soon.
I suggest you move.
Harbor
30
ult
seconds.
thrown out.
There they are.
Also the dart. The dart gets destroyed. Gotta get moving. Gonna get more walls thrown up to make sure that they can get to the pyramids and plant. Foxy trying to take them out, but a tour de force
Spike planted.
with a wall bang to boot. Picks up a double. And that is gonna be the game tied up at 9-all. Might be getting ahead of myself, so Gascola, I'm not trying to jinx you here.
I don't think Ascol is playing in the position they'd like to be. I think they'll definitely take one because Piggy's the only one looking at that angle and they're low health. But I think the Saints have figured it out. You know, 4 people on a site can take one because they give up a little info with the first loss. And no
Okay.
Piggy. Pixel, perfect, holds
Thank
right
you,
the
Piggy,
angle.
for making sure I didn't Steve Harvey all. Steve Harvey this. I've done that before, and I'm trying to learn to keep myself at bay. All right, we're tied at 9 apiece. Sienna Heights, after the first round, it looked so hopeless, but they have proven everyone here that they deserve to be going up against the Phoenix and are not going to be counted out until the very last round.
That early Sky Flash getting a little information. And we're playing nice and loose, just holding it, hoping for
Nice.
Cascola to be peeking in. Again, here's the Saints, just respecting what they've seen earlier in the game. Foxy's going to be the one right around the corner, though. Morg coming in a little bit hot. Going to do a couple of hops around the yard.
As long as they can get rid of this Sova.
Oh, and the AoE, they just dump on him. There's no chance he's electrocuted. They rolled right past him. Saints just have to find you, and then they can take care of it. Bill Goat. Going to be popping the ult here, turning everything into a CSGO match, and as the walls go down, who
Spike
has the
planted.
gun advantage? 3 players in the back, or Bill Goat up close with Peeker's advantage? Got to get Cross to Crab Pyramid if he wants a chance. Oh,
Didn't realize how close he was through that smoke.
oh
Right
wow,
through.
doesn't see,
didn't
right in
see.
front. That is a tough one. Attacker's
Oh
taking all
boy,
with a 2
Sienna
pick.
Heights is in the lead.
And
10
they're
to
the-
9.
Yeah, they're the first one to break double digits too. This is a sports bet I would have lost. I'll be honest.
Someone would have made a lot of money on
This is fun, yeah.
And this is a timeout that we see being brought out by the Phoenix.
Cumberland from Tennessee bringing out the timeout. I mean, what would you be saying here after a crazy turnaround? And it could be that Sienna Heights had some kind of a sub in, although we didn't see any names change. Maybe someone decided to put the Wii Fit gamepad down and plug in a real PlayStation controller and get serious.
I'm using motion controls.
The truth is Cumberland doesn't have that information. If something weird was happening to Sienna Heights in the first game, Cumberland still has to respect that something has changed.
Yeah, yeah. If I'm talking to them, I got to say, okay, the time for gimmicks, the time for, you know, trying to get
Right.
those showy plays is over. We got to pull it out right here.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's not just Morg having a crazy jump around judge shots early in the game. He's still jumping a little bit into the action, and getting behind people is what the Omen does. But it's things like their jet holding a Marshal at really close angles and just feeling things out as a defense up close.
Speaking of up close, you said that at just the right moment.
All the things you could get from the Chop Shop, including one teddy bear.
No ambient music though. That's party's
No,
over.
no, Rudy's does not have ambient music anymore. A quick flash to the nest just to see how things are. Not gonna grab
Trap
very
destroyed.
new knowledge there though. And Noble, what happened? The round just started. You're not supposed to be at 5 health. A quick heal up is going to make no problem out of that, and we're back to a full 5v5 stack, but that healing is gone,
Yeah,
and that's as good as losing a player.
That could be very crucial. I mean, they don't have that healing now to use after this main team fight.
Cascola.
Just hanging out with the knives, waiting for the peek around.
Yeah, this is more of the angle that we should be
Here.
expecting from Cascola Knives, from a much more angle advantage position.
Oh,
Morg.
beautifully caught!
Morg would have, like last game, had collateral after collateral off of hiding in somebody else's spawn, but this time not the case, and a newly refreshed Noble is going to take it out with no damage done. The rotation is only now recognized, even though someone was in spawn and watched all 5-man stack rotate. So
Poison's
30
off.
seconds
as the calls for the Phoenix is finally made at, albeit a little bit of a lag, they're coming around. Cascola is going to be the
Spike
one
down,
to
B.
find that flank from up close on the pyramids. And as they go to hunt it down, can they catch up? They can't. Flash them in mid-air, but it's not enough. The cloud burst is going to hold it back.
they
They're
gotta
just looking
run.
for something. Look at that. It's not quite going to be there. The Marshal again with the knives. A single knife
One
remains.
enemy remaining.
And the Hunter's Fury comes out to shut things down. What a round. What a rotate.
Yeah, they
That was
took
wild.
way too long to rotate through. Now we're tied up again. Anybody's game. And we could very well actually go into overtime, which is nutty to think about.
Interesting that there was such a menacing presence from Nest and from a single player with a wall up on B that they decided with like 30 seconds to sprint through mid. There had already been an ultimate popped and another one on the threat. Didn't quite find it. Now both teams are in double digits. A couple played through the walls here. Typical Cascola angle responding to all the presence that we felt early A side from the Saints. I mean, the Saints have kind of got a pattern going themselves here.
Things could get very low visibility very quickly because 2 Viper's Pits are available. Everswell is going to go up on toward A, but still no push through it.
As well
More
as
than a minute
small
left,
cloud.
so I don't think we're going to see too much for the next 30 seconds, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, that's very fair. I mean, why? A little bit.
It's been a strategy that's worked out for Sienna Heights, is wait for someone to get careless, thinking that they can take you on, 3-4-1. Get that pick, and then we move in.
Yeah, I mean, time is a utility. And it's not often you think about that. I mean, you want to take as many kills as you can, but sometimes you have to give up a kill in order to win the match, and it's the same with time.
Teleport's
This
ready.
Chamber, Noble could have a great flank against the Sove's hanging against the wall. If only he knew.
30 seconds left.
If only you knew. That would be such a great flank. Cascola is going to be forced back. Foxy eliminates Noble. That flank doesn't go through. And we also see the shorty,
Ooh.
a swap to the op. Can't fire it, however. Trigger was just a bit
10
sticky.
seconds left. Spike planted.
In the last 7.5 seconds, the spike goes down. Foxy finds a target. They narrowly enter. The smoke is going to play up for more initiator information. It's just enough to find a beautiful drag down on a piggy.
Oh, should here.
Oh, T-Man around the
Oh,
corner. It's going to get the Ion closer from the Vandal. And Foxy to defuse the second half. Defenders take 11. We could see Phoenix shutting this down before things go into an overtime or before things go into a second map, but they're going to have to pay attention. They're going to have to play serious.
Very awkward position for Santa Heights right now. They don't have enough to full purchase. They've got enough to give Noble an op. And then they got to figure out what are we going to settle with from there. I think they can buy a bulldog with it. That's just about it. Noble needs to get some picks here. His whole team chipped in so that he could get this up. He's got to make it work.
Oh, my goodness.
Ooh. Oh,
But at
missed.
least he gets out. We've seen him trying to teleport out and be taken during the animation. Yeah, no, Noble is just playing a different animal right now. I'm sure he just used the first round to, the first game to let his 3DS charge, and now he's serious. Foxy playing through the smoke. Maybe a little bit of intimidation fire. Unfortunately, no one's there to accept the message. So the Warhawk goes unanswered as everybody is funneling their way into B. Morg, though, from backside is going to be holding it with a teammate. So B is a scary place to be. Say to be entering.
Oh,
at
no.
40 seconds.
Oh!
Giving them all the time in the world, and Morg can't find it.
They were able to throw him off.
30 seconds left.
Santa Heights is in a slight person advantage, and they've taken out the Kingmaker.
And he took nothing to the grave, but his shorty,
Oh, they take
Bilgo.
another out. Hyper's Pit also going to be expended, but Foxy and Kluwer are coming in. They want to turn this back around. It's even 3 apiece. Some shock darts to go out to try to clear the point, but Viper coming in with a key play, taking out the Jet. Foxy's going to try to use the shorty. Try to use his Viper's Pit to his advantage, but Noble has his number, and we're tied up again, 11 apiece.
On a team ace, what a flourish to bring us into what is
Effectively
technically
overtime.
effective overtime is here. Win your 2 points or do it again. The only difference between this overtime and the overtime we're about to taste, dare I jinx it, here I am knocking on wood, is that if you take this round, it doesn't exactly switch sides. So if you think you're
No.
more,
Credits, yeah.
yeah, if you have a serious credits advantage, or if you think that playing 2 attacking versus defensing rounds is going to be what makes the difference, now is your chance.
Oh, Cascola getting a very good pick to start things off. Viper's Pit going to be expended, putting a no-go zone around A. They'll just have to wait and choose some sort of different option. Bilgo gets the pick onto Zona. Morg also, he's going to get his sight locked down, a trade back and forth. They don't realize,
There
though,
it is.
you got to be careful in smokes with Morg around.
It's those one at a time free early round picks that make it happen, and unless we see a serious reverse sweep, it is going to be an uphill battle for the Saints here.
Just the kind of player Morg is. You always got to assume if a smoke is down, either
He's
if
in
you're
it.
running through it or assume he's going to run through it.
Bluey with a flick. Narrowly misses the shoulders and strikes T-Man right in the forehead. That brings us to match point for the Phoenix players. 2 ops and a shorty on deck.
Everything just came apart at the last moment. It's either here, they're going to get it. Oh, one of them has to have a classic too. They can maybe buy a Sheriff, hope they can click heads. 1 Vandal, 2 Vandals. 1 Sheriff and 1 classic. Okay, 2 Sheriffs. But they have to go up against 2 ops. This is the final boss that they have to face. Phoenix is all
to play, let's play.
dressed to the 10s, if you will, in terms of their armory.
Volume to 11 on this one. Noble
Here.
going to try to even up the difference here in the range fight, but the suppression is out. Ah, just what a menacing defense here on A. And you can taste it in the history too. You know this A angle has really changed
Here.
with the reformation of the ring around the Rosie. And look at that
that's huge!
damage.
One of the oppers gone.
Here it is. It's got to make their way onto site. Heavily defended. Are they going to come around through the main gates or make their way to the grass? A couple shots through the thin gates that divide. Oh, and a 180 on the flash. It rings out, but it's not enough. They try to find him, but he finds one instead. Oh, and they just drive it into his gut. Foxy to find one. Bilgoat and Cluey. It's near Team Ace, and there it is.
Goodness.
Defenders find it.
Oh my, Cumberland, you won the round, but oh my goodness, Sienna Heights, I have got to give you a shout out of shout outs for making that so darn close. What a recovery after their first game. Unreal. Cumberland, though, with their overwhelming performance in round one and pulling out the victory in the end in round two, is going to take that match. What a game to end it out on.
It really was.
My head's still spinning on how close it was.
And that second game wouldn't be as good as it was if it weren't for the first round setting the stage to absolutely knock us out of the water. That was a crazy turnaround by the Saints, the entire team included. And Sienna Heights, you fought well. You got close to it, and it was almost a third map. If it weren't for, like you said, the final boss they had to fight on the last round. And it was down to the ops the game was, really. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad that we got to see some long sight lines that we were hoping for coming out of that first one, which was an absolute judge fest.
Oh boy, what a game to close it out. Well, that's gonna do it for all the Valorant that we have to offer tonight. But hey, if you want to see even more gunplay and more craziness, and you're going to want to tune in tomorrow for when we go over to Rainbow Six. And if you want to see more Valorant, join us back again next week at the same time on Wednesday. And also a thank you to Truth, Extra Life, Duncan, Odyssey Elixir, and of course Monster Energy for being the sponsors of the NACE Starleague, helping make all this possible. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed that last game and the night. If that last game wasn't enough entertainment, then I don't know, watch more games or something. I don't know if we could have offered anything more at that, frankly. And thank you to Sienna Heights and Cumberland as well for making that so exciting. That's going to do it for us tonight, though. So thank you so much for watching. See you next time.
Breathe in and know that vaping nicotine can actually increase feelings of stress.
Yet some vape companies get rich telling you it's a stress reliever.
So let's call it what it is. It's a breath of stress air.
blanket just wasn't there. One by one, the flawless
Moves
ball.
off, gets another smite transfer for a quad. Morg is on.
His utility.
Just go right through with that teleporter.
Got looking for another one. And then we've got Foxy to find one, Bill Goat and Cluey. It's near team.
Welcome back to the NACE Starleague studio. Those were highlights from the match that we just saw, Cumberland versus Sienna Heights. Cumberland ended up winning that one 2-0, but a simple 2-0 stat line does not tell the whole story. On Breeze, Sienna Heights just had a complete rebirth, and we're here to talk with one of the players from Cumberland, the winning team, talk a little bit more about what happened. We've got Cluey joining us for that last match. We're very happy to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us. It looks like we also might just have an issue with audio right now. Oh, wait. There we go. I
Can you hear me?
now.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
now I can hear you. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We just wanted to ask about kind of that last match, because on Lotus it was 13-2, but it was 13-11 when we went to Breeze. And I think the main question a lot of people are wondering is, what was the change between those two stages?
Well, we're really comfortable on Lotus, but we recently changed our Breeze comp after HughFest, and we never went over it because HughFest just ended. So it was just trying out the new comp, seeing what worked, what didn't. We're gonna watch the game over and fix things and not lose a round.
I mean, makes sense. It's understandable not having, you know, a very, very well-rehearsed setup, but it looks like you guys were really comfortable with the sidearms and gun position. A lot of times we see people just insta-lock the Spectre when it comes into that second round or that force buy or half buy. But you guys have a totally different approach to it. Walk me through why you guys go with more exciting guns or more varied guns like the Marshall and the Judge more consistently than most teams do.
Well, the Judge works best with player, but the Marshall is just the best gun on Breeze because it's a long range map, and even body shot 101 to the body, he's 1 dig, easy round win.
So I'll get you out on this last question. You kind of alluded to it earlier in one of your answers. You said that your team really is comfortable about Lotus, and it's just one of your go-to stages. And I just have to ask, for another caster who isn't here but absolutely despises Lotus with every fiber of their being, I'm just wondering, what is it about Lotus for you personally that your team likes so much?
You run all over the map. You know, you start A, you start strong C, and then our whole objective is start A, work B, run C, maybe, you know, go everywhere. So everyone is always holding the map, and it's what we do best is work the map.
All right. Well, thank you so much for providing such an entertaining match. That was a great note to end on. Thank you so much, Cluey, for joining us.
Thank you.
And that'll do it for our post-game interview. Once again, thank you for joining, and join us tomorrow for Rainbow Six. But if you want to see Valorant, we'll be here next week at the same time. But for now, for Valorant, this is Jacob and Greg signing off, wishing you a good night.